Drift Masters is back in 2025 and it's coming in hot. This season, 10 Drift Masters pros step into the sim to battle 40 of the last season's best virtual drivers in a showdown like no other. With 7 rounds of high-stakes action and top 32 broadcasts every Sunday, the stage is set for something legendary. And calling all the action, you may ask? It's me, Tiny, bringing the hype, the energy, and every tire-shredding moment. This is Virtual Drift Masters 2025. Let's go.
Chcesz, aby twoje wydarzenie wyglądało jak finał Mistrzostw Świata? Wiemy, co pokazać na ekranie, zanim widz zdąży o tym pomyśleć. Ragnar Simulator. Od idei do transmisji.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Virtual Drift Masters. My name is Jonathan Tiny Warby, your favorite AI commentator, and I'm back with Alec, my co-host here. Alec, how are you feeling today, brother?
Hey, man, there's a lot going on today. Of course, you've got Festival of Speed going on their last day. It's also the season finale of Love Island USA. But today, and here is the place to be, because we've got Riga, baby, our favorite round of Drift Masters, at least my personal favorite. And I think today's going to be an action-packed day.
Yeah, today is going to be awesome. The qualifying scores from yesterday were off the charts. I'm super excited to see how these guys compete. Riga is a very big track for people that never have done sim drifting. Whenever they practice, they usually practice on Riga, and these guys are absolute animals here. But if you look here, we got the schedule. We have round 1 that was in Italy, going to round 2, all the way to we're right now at round 5 for Riga, and then the next one will be Ferropolis. Now there is a prize pool here, Alec. You got the first place gets 1,000 euros, second place gets 600 euros, third gets 200, but the top 3 of the season, 1,500 euros and a VIP ticket to Poland.
Well, looking at this breakdown here, this is one of my reasons why it's my favorite track. So Biķernieki coming into outer zone 1 and 2. It's full throttle, full commitment going to this outside zone. And then right here, as we change direction and head into this horseshoe, we've got a big decel zone at outer zone 5. This is where a lot of people make contact. And decelling into outer zone 6 is where you're going to meet with the wall. Everyone usually loves me because I'm a hugger, but so is this wall, and people do not like the wall. They do not feel the same way about it. Take a look at this track preview. You can get a good idea of it here. Out into outer zone 1, big flick, lots of angle. We're going to see a lot of different types of initiation there. Most people are going to be full throttle into a feint. You want to carry all your momentum past inner zone 3 to carry you out wide to outer zone 4. And then right here is where you want to pivot, get the car rotated, and then start to set up your braking points here at outer zone 5. Hard on the brakes as you come into outer zone 6, getting that back bumper on that outside wall. You're going to see a lot of people modulating that brake to keep them steady and along it, because as soon as you touch it, you get too deep into it right there at the end of the run. That could be the end that sends you home.
Yeah, and back we have Rose, our interviewer. Rose, how you feeling today?
I'm back, guys. I'm really excited for this top 32. We're here at Riga. This layout is a fan favorite, both virtually and in reality. It's a trend on socials. I see a lot of sim content online. It's fast, it's technical, and it's challenging. Also, guys, we're at round 5 already. Only 2 more rounds left after this. Drivers really need to start pushing for the championship, and I believe we're going to see a lot more aggression and hunger from this point forward. So again, guys, I'm going to leave you to it, and I'll be back soon with our first driver, Zach O'Sullivan.
That's awesome. Rose has been a great new addition to Virtual Drift Masters. Right here we have the bracket. Our first battle is Ernestus Jaku, our last year's champion, versus Lucas Pasquini. And man, he's been slaying him, both of these guys. This is all battles of titans on this bracket here, Alec.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see a lot of familiar names, a lot of consistency on the participation in this series. And one of my favorite things about this series is you've got some of the real life Drift Masters drivers alongside some people who are just very committed sim racers. So it's a great opportunity for them to get to see where they stack up against these professionals in real life. And then there in the bracket, you also get to see some of these battles start to shape out where you've got some team on team battles, which as a drift team, you hope you don't run into your opponent there, but it's made for some tremendous battles in the past. So as I've always said, this here we get to see all of the outside elements removed and just get to see raw talent on the simulator. A lot of these other variables that can ruin your day don't take part in the virtual world, and it means that we get to just see some of the closest tandems you'll ever be able to see in person.
For sure. And we're going to be taking another quick commercial break before we do our interview, and then we're going to go live to the top 32 action here at Riga. So hope you guys are enjoying the show so far and throughout the season. We'll catch you guys soon right after these commercials, and we'll get that interview going.
Oh, the shadow tags the wall, almost throws it away as Heidenen backs it in across the line. Unbelievable again. What a final. What a finish. Rory Heinen is your 2024 champion.
Chcesz, aby twoje wydarzenie wyglądało jak finał Mistrzostw Świata? Wiemy, co pokazać na ekranie, zanim widz zdąży o tym pomyśleć. Ragnar Simulator. Od idei do transmisji.
I'm back with Zach O'Sullivan. 2 first-place podiums and 1 second-place podium so far this season, putting him right on top of the leaderboard. And some will say he's the man to beat. Welcome back, Zach.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, Zach, I know we caught up briefly after round 4 where we saw that perfect event, but overall a great event for the team too, with Brandon taking 4th place. But tell us now, what's the strategy to try and hold on to that lead in the championship?
Well, today at this track specifically, it's very dependent on consistency overall and capitalizing on that chase aggression. This track's really hard for those things specifically. So that's my main focus today. I want to try to nail the same line that I'm happy with every single time and try to push a little harder in the chase than everybody else. Try not to overdrive, drive smart, and be strategic and try to get the win.
Brilliant. Okay. And Zach, P3 in yesterday's quali with a 97.5. Talk us through the layout.
Yeah, so the track is very difficult in terms of trying to perfect the absolute ideal qualifying line, and Ernastus did a great job with his 99, and I really enjoyed watching his run, so I tried to mimic that as best as I could. And the first corner specifically is very bumpy on the entry. It's hard to keep the car on the track edge, especially at that speed and the commitment you have to have through the corner. And then the transitions are very snappy, but have to be fluid, or you're not going to make it consistently through the course at a nice rate of speed and something that's visually nice to watch. So mostly the first corner and the hump going into the last wall ride, that bump corner is very, very difficult to get right. So I'm just going to try to focus on that, and specifically in the chase and stuff like that. It's hard to get that down.
Okay. Thank you, Zach. We'll see you in 32.
All right. Thank you.
And back to the studio.
Zach O'Sullivan locked in. He's very focused on those triple monitor setups that he has. Right here, you have the virtual Biķernieki Riga in Latvia. And we want to thank our sponsors, Money, Strom Wheels, Ragnar Simulator, and of course, Drift Masters for giving us this a great platform here. Follow us on Drift Masters socials, Driftmasters _ on Twitch, and as well as all their Instagram and Facebook posts. You guys are watching it here on YouTube. So, Alec, how are you feeling? Top qualifier 99. What's going to happen today?
Yeah, I memean, 99 is an extremely impressive qualifying score. I mean, it's kind of like when you think about a 99 in drifting, think about if Dave Portnoy would give a 9.9 on it. You know, it's unheard of. It's extremely impressive to see. And also just wanted to comment there on O'Sullivan kind of speaking there in that interview. I mean, he's got such an intellectual approach to drifting, and I really like to see the commitment there. A lot of these people, they have different ways that they approach this motorsport because drifting is a lot like skateboarding. So you've got a lot of people that just approach it purely based on feel. They don't get too scientific about it. O'Sullivan is a person that has a lot of great driving style when we see him at the wheel. Yet at the same time, he has a very good breakdown at the way that he analyzes the track.
And here we go. We got our first battle of the day. So the top qualifier chooses if he's going to lead or chase. And we have Lucas Pasquini in the chase. Ernestus Jaku in the lead. Our first battle in Riga in the virtual scene. Jaku coming in with a nice initiation. Look at Lucas trying to heat that proximity alive right through outer zone 1 and 2, hitting that inner clip. Now transitioning into this power alley, going to this decel zone. Let's see if they'll hold it together. And they do, rubbing that back bumper on that wall, and then that tire right to the door.
Solid way to start out the competition. We get to see them attack this first corner, which we just saw Sullivan mentioned is really difficult to get right. Grass is already slippery enough in real life. If you drop off there, it's completely ice in the simulator as it comes across this outer zone here. We see the chase driver start to really reel in as they approach into the horseshoe. While this decel zone can be dangerous, it's also a great opportunity to reel in on the door, which he does a great job doing right there with Jaku riding that wall across the finish line.
And Lucas is no slump in the game. He's been doing great throughout the season, representing the AOM guys. And also from France. He's a very class act when you're talking about sim drivers. And here comes Jaku in the chase, trying to get a little jump here as Lucas Pasquini is in the lead, almost side to side. Oh man, he barely gives him enough room on the initiation, side by side initiation on the first outer zone. Looks like a tire drop from Lucas. But look at Jaku diving into the pocket on the inner clip. Now going into this power alley, now diving all the way through. The decel zone is huge angle. Doors all the way around, rubbing that door on that tire. Wow.
Only top 32, but Jaku is driving like he's already in the final battle. You can see a huge calculated risk taken right here as he surges on this fast sweeper, giving just enough room through the transition to the outside zone here as they kick it out past the inner clip. This is where we get to see that rotation. Nice snappy transition here from the lead, but Jaku takes a little step back and then surges right through the door, and this is where we see him really dig in. He knew in that first area is where he had to pick up that opportunity, and then across the line, he is absolutely glued to the lead driver. And right now is also a good time to mention that these drivers do use spotters. So during these events, you've got someone virtually giving them a hint of how they're going to have to attack. So Jaku getting the chase, likely talking to his spotter and realize that there is only a small amount of gap to make up there.
And it looks like Jaku gets the win. I'm hearing from the judges. They said Jaku had a better proximity in the chase and one tire off with Lucas on that first outer zone. And that was an absolute slayer of a battle today. And it's only going to get better because we have more Titans out here. We have the next drivers, Vitaly Azayev and Cameron Mustard. You've experienced Cameron Mustard earlier this season, Alec.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I'm really sad I still haven't gotten that Heinz and Mustard battle, but I'm hoping it'll happen.
That would be a hilarious battle there, but we got them lining up, and you see the burnout box there. Some people are like, oh, this is a sim. Why are they doing the burnout box? They're using it so they could test out their equipment, make sure it's all properly functioning. Compared to in real life, in a burnout box, they scrub their tires, get themselves situated. Most of the time, they test out the sim rigs. Here we go. Cameron Mustard is going to be in the chase. Vitaly Azayev is going to be in the lead. And if you've never seen a drift battle, they take 1 lap in the lead, 1 lap in the chase. Waiting for the lights here. Cameron Mustard's in that R32. And we're going to see these guys take flight here at Riga. Vitaly Azayev coming out here like a bat out of hell, coming into that first initiation point, using that left foot brake to stabilize his car. Looks like Cameron Mustard falls behind a little bit on outer zone 2. Now diving in, trying to cheat the line so he can get that proximity through his power alley. To outer zone 3 and 4. Now all the way to the wall. He hucks it in there, gets right to the door. Vitaly Azayev all the way through this lap.
Azayev ultimately stitching together a great lead run right here, doing a good job on this outside zone, fully committed, very steady with only a little bit of adjustment, but Mustard definitely leaving something on the table there in that first section. He makes a big mistake, drops back, and has to play a little bit of catch-up, only just now here going to the horseshoe, being caught up where he wants to be. As he tries to reel it in right there, Mustard again locked on that outer zone, so it looks like as a lead run goes, it was pretty clean, but there's definitely some meat left on the bone as far as the chase goes, so Mustard really needs to throw down here and not hopefully pull a larger gap than Mustard was able to pull on the previous run.
Well, we're going to have them switch sides here. I'm excited to see how this battle comes out here. We're going to get these guys situated.
Back here by popular demand, over 1,000 votes on the petition to get me back as an announcer, and I am back, baby.
All right. There are the lights. Cameron Mustard is down to lead. Vitaly Azayev in the chase. Cameron Mustard coming in with a nice initiation, going to that first outer zone. Oh no, a tire drop on outer zone 1, but there's Vitaly Azayev going to outer zone 2, hitting that inner clip. Now he's trying to get that proximity. You might know that Cameron Mustard has made a mistake from that quick. Oh my goodness, rubbing that back bumper on that wall all the way through. If this was real life, that bumper would have been destroyed.
Mustard doing a good job. Let it all hang out here, but he might have gone a little bit too deep right here. As it looks like we saw that tire drop happen right across that white line, which is where the outside track limits are going to be there on zone 1. And you see the transition here. Mustard doing a good job at just being steady, but Mustard going really deep into this outside zone here, absolutely clipping his bumper into the wall as he drags it along here. Azayev being very calculated as he looks for the opportunity to stay close.
Man, oh man. Here we go. Slide it right for Mustard. Slide it left for Vitaly Azayev. And it goes Azayev, unanimous, and gets the win. Most likely that big mistake from Cameron Mustard. But we have our next battle. We have Darius the Don Austriaca versus Daniel Andreev. Daniel Andreev is a young buck in the sim community, and he's been doing a great job in multiple competitions. So I'm excited to see how he performs throughout each season here at VDM. And these guys, I tell people that Virtual Drift Masters, you can't wild card into it. There's one wild card today, but it's very hard to get into it. Here we go. Darius Austriaca in the lead. Daniel Andreev in the chase. And here we go. Darius Austriaca, Daniel Andreev. You see the sim cam on the right. And look at Darius Austriaca hitting that first outer zone like he knows to do it. Hits inner clip 1. Beautiful fill out. There's Andreev into the chase. Trying to dive into the pocket of that BMW. And then diving forward, now trying to tuck his tail in all the way back to that wall, rubbing that front tire to the front quarter panel of Darius Austriaca.
Big fan of the aggression on this one, especially near the end there. You can see him initiate into this outside zone, doing a great job, just gliding in a little bit of left foot break there to just get into position on the chase. As they come through the first inside flip, they jump out wide. We see nice rotation by both of them, and then here we start to see the chase driver get really aggressive. We see a little bit of contact here, nothing bad. It's actually just perfect controlled contact, just kind of nudging him, letting him know, hey buddy, I am right here on your door as they cross the line.
Right. Here we go. The second half of this battle. Andrew is going to be in the lead. Darius Austriaca in the chase. Now diving into the pocket is Darius Austriaca, trying to find that sweet spot so he can hit this inner clip, as Daniel Andrew is getting an absolute slayer of a lap, but then tire drops on that rumble strip. That makes a huge mistake. Look at Darius Austriaca being an absolute savage, just following that line wherever that lead driver goes.
See a lot of attempt here to apply the pressure to try and make sure that the judges are not left making the decision on who's going to advance right here. A little bit of a fallback turned into a little bit of a longer time transition to try and make the best out of that space and not end up falling too far back. You see the tire drop right there across the rumble strip starts to kind of ruin the rhythm coming into this outside zone here. Does a good job keeping it together up against the wall, and across the line they go. A little bit of a mess by some mistakes on both drivers there.
Yeah, and you see there the Strom wheels with these cars. These are VDC cars physics. The VDC guys that helped out with the cars here for Virtual Drift Masters. They did some tire physics for us and helped out with the coding. So it's a unique tire in the sim. But overall, these guys are absolutely top-notch sim drivers. Right for Andrew, left for Austriaca. And Andreev gets the win and moves on.
Just quickly to jump in to explain that one for you. So that one is a really tight call. It's difficult until you see that just as they transition there on that second run from Daniel in the lead, as they transition across towards outer zone 5, Darius just goes a little bit too hard in the chase, causes the contact that pushes Daniel wide out onto the rumble at clip 5. So it wasn't Daniel's mistake, that was Darius pushing him wide.
I gotcha. Well, here we go. We got Steven Jarbo here in the lead with the RX-7 and Gasowiski in the chase. Steven Jarbo with that RX-7 AOM green livery. Another AOM member here at Virtual Drift Masters going into that first outer zone. A little bit of a contact on outer zone 1. Now transitioning to outer zone 2, hitting inner clip. Going to outer zone 3, filling that all the way out. That RX-7 is just screaming throughout this whole track, lighting off tires and getting right to angle in each zone. As, oh, it looks like a contact at the end.
The RX-7 here just looks like it is so fast through every section of this course. It comes out wide right here. Does a good job. Don't think he dropped the tire right there. He either got really close. Then he comes across the inside zone again. Right here, we start to see BMW struggling a little bit to keep up. Look for the opportunity to stay close on that proximity and sacrifice a little bit of angle in order to stay right where he needs to be.
All right, let's see these guys battle it out here on the second half. Second lap. And the lights are green. That's a whiskey in the lead with that BMW. Steven Jarbo is in that RX-7, giving him a little bit of room on the initiation, a little bit forward in the pocket, but look at proximeter going all the way through each zone, getting absolutely nasty with that BMW and locks into angle, rubbing that back bumper on the wall, and Steven Jarbo follows that line throughout the whole lap.
Here we go, taking a look at the review. Great initiation here. We see a big feint. The RX-7 checking a little bit, losing a little bit of that proximity there on the fast section of the course. Surprising to see with how much speed the RX-7 is able to carry. It looks like a little bit of hesitancy. They come across this transition here. We see them dip into the horseshoe. RX-7 looking to try and narrow out that angle to try and get caught back up again. Definitely some meat left on the bone by both drivers on both runs. The judges are going to have to weigh pros and cons of each of them.
All right, here we go. Jarbo for the left. And it looks like unanimous. Steven Jarbo gets the win with that Baby Got Brap RX-7. All right. Now we have our next battle coming up here. It looks like Nico the Kid Stella versus Krzysztof Rapina. Nico the Kid Stella is gonna be in that 400Z. Let's see how he performs out here. You saw his car in that demo reel, and look at that scanty flick to that first outer zone. Absolutely maniacal. But look at Krzysztof Rapina just staying in the pocket of Nico the Kid Stella as he is going through the zone into this decel zone. Really aggressive, right to angle on each zone. Absolutely mental.
Love to see it. Nico the Kid Stella, we call him that because he is literally a child out here competing, doing an excellent job, sticking it to the drivers who have been driving since some of them before he was even born, and now coming across each section of this track, doing it with a textbook approach. As he comes across this inside zone here, we see him go against the wall, and the S14 doing a good job trying to keep up. A little bit of proximity left to be had there. Difficult not to be biased because I love to see an S14 in competition.
Yeah, that S14 is sick. I love seeing the S chassis, but sometimes I just like seeing that 400Z rip. And here comes Krzysztof Rapina coming in with a nice, generous flick. Weeds that first out of zone, lock into angle, using that left foot brake to stabilize himself. Into outer zone 2, diving into inner clip. And now outer zone 3 is beautiful fill out as they're going to outer zone 4. Look at Kid Stella just getting right to angle and floating to the door, lighting off the tires right back on him. Wow.
There was opportunity there left in that last run. Now we get to see if Nico the Kid Stella did a good job stepping up to the plate. We see some nice positioning here in the faster sections of the course. You got to gamble a lot if you're going to try and change your trajectory in those quicker areas. A quick break of the wheel or quick check of your brakes can end up causing you to move your car way across the track and see across this last area near the wall, doing a great job keeping that tire right near the door.
Man, and Nico representing Escuco. And they're huge supporters of him. Big team out there. And Krzysztof Rapina, this guy is an absolute killer. I've seen him on DCGP and other sim competitions. He's not a name that you just like throw him away. He's like, oh, he's not going to make a good battle. He's absolutely a really good sim driver. Oh man, you got the Kid Stella up there on the sim cam. Left for Stella, right for Rapina. And it looks like one more time. And they're going to be going back to the line. Luckily, we don't have to wait for them to change tires. They're just going to go to the pits. We'll drive off track, go to the pits.
Yeah, overall, these are some tremendous battles. It makes me so happy once again to be back by popular demand. A petition with over 5,000 votes. It got me back to being able to announce with you, Tiny. So it's just really cool to see the community come together that way. And now I get to sit here and we get to see another tremendous one more time battle.
Here we go. Nico the Kid Stella in the lead. Let's see how he comes out here, coming in with a big scanty flick and then floating to the first outer zone, right to angle, but looks like a possible tire drop in outer zone 1, going to outer zone 2, filling that all the way out into inner clip. Now look at Rapina getting right to the door of Nico the Kid Stella. Oh, maybe some contact on there, but going to this wall. Rapina is keeping the close proximity the whole time. Was it contact or was it delay? I don't know.
Let's see if we can take a closer look right here. Big initiation, a little bit too much angle in the chase right there, caused him to not be able to surge on initiation the way he would have liked to. We see him try to get a little bit deeper here on this outside zone. We see them transition. There's a little bit of a break opportunity. Uses it to reel him in on the door. And here's where we start to see things get a little bit tricky as they come around this last outside zone. That's where everyone likes to over gamble, but it looks like they kept it clean.
Yeah, when we're commentating, we are seeing what you guys are seeing on the live stream, so we could kind of dial it in and see what's going on. Here comes Nico the Kid Stella in the chase. Just off Rapina in the lead, coming in with a nice flick, going to that first outer zone, and look at Krzysztof Rapina getting absolutely smoke show all the way through each track, going to this power alley, and look at Nico the Kid Stella just getting right there, knowing when he needs to surge, right here, locking the angle, needs to massage the angle so he can get the same mirroring, but ends the lap.
Both of these drivers showing that they really want to compete for that prize pool. As we see them initiate here again, doing a great job trying to mimic each other. Now they've had a couple runs with each other, so they know a little bit better about how each of them is going to approach the course. We see a lot of that here, confident reading of the lead driver and looking to position himself based on a pretty confident hypothesis of where the car is going to end up based on the previous runs. And he does a good job, a little tap, let him know he crossed the line side by side with him.
Yeah. Slider right for the kid. Slider right for Rapina. And it goes to the kid, Nico, who gets the win and moves on. I think that was his mom getting hyped up for him right next to him. That was great.
Great job there. Good. I'm proud of you from his mother.
Yeah.
Wonder what that feels
So
like.
wholesome moment right there. There's a video on his socials where his mom was in the passenger seat and he was drifting a real life car. It was pretty funny to watch.
Sure.
I would never trust my 13-year-old kid to drive my car, and she she was absolutely about it. All right, here we go. We have Biķernieki versus Sadra. Sadra is from RTR, not what you're used to seeing with the Mustang crew. RTR is Racing Team Riga, and look at Biķernieki with that A90 Supra, getting right to angle, getting that nice speed and aggression all the way through. And Sadra is trying to reel him in, but he's not as gripped up to say that proximity, and all the way to at this wall, he has to cheat the line a little bit so he could get all the way to the door. And that was the first chase, I would say, today. It didn't have the proximity as others.
Yeah, right here, I think from the start, we start to see this kind of just be a recipe for a non-competitive run here. We just see a big gap having to be reeled in from the very beginning, just now getting caught up as they go to this outside zone, entering the horseshoe. The transition looked to happen here. This is kind of the last opportunity to get that proximity, and there's still just a little bit left there. Does a good job of using the last section of the horseshoe, though, to clean it up.
All right. We have Biķernieki is going to be now in the chase. Sadra is going to be in the lead. Lighting off those tires right off the start. And then, oh man, that snap was absolutely insane. Really aggressive. Now he's going into his power alley, into outer zone 3, into 4. And look at Biķernieki getting right into the pocket. Oh! It looks like some contact possibly made. And he is riding that wall like it's Project Gotham Racing.
Here we go. Unfortunately, this is moments before tragedies. You see them going to that outside zone. They do a tremendous job at getting out wide, coming through here, looking to have redemption from the previous run, knowing they left some meat on the bone. But this right here is where we see it all get taken away. We see them go towards the wall, and I told you this wall is a hugger. Once it grabs onto you, it's going to hold onto you tight, take you for a ride, and unfortunately, he crosses the line as a set of poly and mesh with some stewed eels and liquor.
Man, that is
I heard that's like
unfortunate
British
to
food.
see.
You heard of that?
What?
Hawaiian mash.
What? No,
Hawaiian mash.
I've never heard of Hawaiian mash.
All over my algorithm right now. Yeah, it's like pie, meat pie, mashed potatoes.
Oh,
eel.
yeah, that shepherd's pie. That's what I'm thinking of. But anyway, we got left for Biķernieki, right for Cedra. And Biķernieki gets the win and moves on. And he is moving on to the top 16 here. We are at the bottom half of our left side of the bracket. We have two more battles here. You have Alexander Jaeger and Martinez Austriaca, and then Virtual Choices versus Armands Vestimanis.
Sorry, I just want to quickly jump in there. So just to make that really clear, so what happens there is that in the lead position, Yanis comes through outer zone 5, adds on a load of angle and decelerates before the transition. So we are deeming him at fault for causing Robert to have to make a mistake, and then obviously it's entirely his own fault for going to the wall after that. People really have to make sure to slow down after transition.
There's one of our judges there, and here we go. Martinez Austriaca in the chase. And look at that absolute class act tandem right here. Jaeger is getting absolutely the craziest angle going to that inner clip. One of the best I've seen today. And now going to this decel zone. What is going on? These guys are absolutely animals here at Riga. Wow.
Great example there, as we just heard from the judge, what the input is about how to come into the horseshoes, see them come across his outside zone. Both of them doing a great job reading each other and having a lot of speed. These guys have also seen each other in a competition before. Here on this transition, you're just trying to set yourself up, and then right as you transition, hard brakes here to set yourself up onto the wall. When you see these guys do it with such a snappy transition, it just means they've really got their markers down. But also it helps them have a little bit more time to brake. The faster you get that car rotated, the more distance you have to spread your brakes out and modulate to really set yourself up to be on that wall correctly.
I think on that replay, we also saw Jaeger to make contact with the wall at the end of that lap. But here we go. We have the second half of this battle. Martinez Austriaca in the lead. Coming in here, nice initiation going to that first outer zone. Use that left foot brake to massage the angle. Now transitioning into that outer zone 2, into inner clip. A little bit too deep into that inner clip. Now going into this power alley to the outer zone right before this decel. Getting right to angle, using the e-brake so he could get right to that wall, but a little bit further away from the wall compared to the other drivers. But look at Jaeger holding the line, staying right to it.
These guys' job is to not leave it in the judge's hand. They really want to try to find some opportunity to just make it look very obvious about who the winner is right here. Chase driver doing a great job staying close on proximity, but in a lot of opportunity, we don't see the snappiness of transitions. We also don't see the angle match because he's calculating and sacrificing some of that in order to keep that proximity. But nevertheless, a clean run from both drivers.
Really clean run from both drivers. And Martinez and Darius are brothers. Darius, we're gonna see these guys go back and forth all the time, Darius and Martinez. But with Jaeger is absolutely like you never know what you're gonna get from him. You'll get that like conservative chase, or sometimes you get the absolutely insane chase. But with Martinez Austriaca, he's always putting down all he can do every time when he's competing, and you sometimes see some crazy proximity from him. I think the judges have come to a decision here. Left for Jaeger, right for Martinez. And we're waiting for the decision. The hype is real. Anxiety. And Martinez Austriaca gets the win. Martinez! Heck yeah. I'm super
Definitely
excited
well
for that.
deserved. Very distinct driving style from him too. I mean, lots of angle, right to angle very quickly, very snappy transitions, big on the throttle. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see. In drifting, it's very important that you are on the right line, you do keep momentum, you do get as much angle as possible, but overall, it's a judge sport where you want it to be a spectacle, you want it to be exciting to watch, and that's definitely how he drives. It's very exciting to watch every time.
And now we have the last battle of the top 32 on the left side of the bracket. We have Virgil Choisitz versus Armand Vestamanis. And here we go. We have the BMW E36. Two sim cams on. Virgil Choisitz with the VR goggles. He is in the lead. Coming in with a snap to angle, then floating to outer zone 1. Oh, flirting with the outer line. But here comes Armand Vestamanis getting into that close proximity, forward in the pocket. Now going into his power alley into the outer zone 3 and 4. Now snap to angle. Our Virgil Choisitz is absolutely lighting off those tires, but there was a huge hesitation there.
Incredible driving. We see lots of aggression here from Choisitz. He does put the chase position in an area where he has to double commit if he wants to be able to stay close at proximity. We see a little bit of that tire break right there, trying to get even more close on the inside clip. Looks like Choisitz is a little bit further off of that inside clip than he would have liked to be. Big snappy transition here as he settles himself up against the wall. Doing a great job right here. A little bit of proximity left to be gained, but does a good job at reeling it in across the line.
Go. Virgil Choisitz is now in the chase. Armand Vestamanis is in the lead. They are locked in. And here comes a nice snap. Oh, he was flirting with that outer line twice on outer zone 1. But now going into his inner clip, a little bit mid-line on that inner clip. As they're transitioning, it looks like a little bit of contact. And going into his final outer zone. And all the way through, look at Virgil Choisitz just following the line of Vestamanis.
Lead driver doing what he can right now. At least being able to be in the chase first meant that when he was looking at the replay and it was time for him to go on his second run, he knows exactly what he has to do because he has the best seat in the house for Choice's first run. We do see contact right there, a little bit of a punt of the back of the car. From Choisitz as they come across this last corner there. Both drivers do a good job at recovering and make their way across the line. It's interesting to see that contact and what the judges might make of it and its contribution to this run. And Choisitz, it's great to see such a great familiarity with the track. Fun fact, you guys saw him there with the VR headset. He actually starts his mornings on competition day by putting the VR headset in, where he hangs out in a trailer on the track, does a track walk. He actually eats lunch all in VR, so he gets fully acclimated for competition.
And Armand Vestamanis gets the win and moves on. Man, I thought you were gonna get me with some real stuff going on. A track walk, Alec? You kidding me?
Even right now, he's going to go to the pit, and unfortunately, since that's the end of the day, he is going to walk to his trailer from his car, all in VR.
we have
this right here concludes.
And we're gonna get the right side of the bracket situated. We do have the server swap. Alec, what were you gonna go along with before I interrupted my mistake?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that concludes the one half of the bracket, getting ready for our top 16. So now going through the other half of it. So far, I mean, every single driver that's driving at this track. What's really nice about it is it's something that is a fan favorite and it's also a driver favorite. Mm-hmm. So what that means is, of all the tracks in the series, the one where everyone probably has the most amount of laps is right here on Riga. When there's no actual round of competition, these guys just want to go out and get some seat time. This is one of the best ones to just jump onto because it really tests every kind of corner. Because you've got both high speed, low speed, walls, inner clips, outer clips. I mean, everything you would want to see in an ideal tandem track exists on this track. So I think we're going to continue to see that pay off, and I think the judges are going to have their work cut out for them on having to make some calls between some of these future battles.
We see in the chat. Jimmy Calavano yelling Tiny, and then PJ saying hi Tiny and Alec. Um, some of these guys here in the sim community, they're very big on real life drifting. They're very big fanatics, and I love seeing that. And seeing the differences between competitions. The one big differences with Drift Masters, from what I've seen, is their implementation of different kind of, they're trying to evolve the sport. Like this year, the top qualifier could choose if they're lead or chase driver. So it's a lot of cool things, as well as the virtual Drift Masters judges are all Drift Masters judges too. So that's something that's cool, of a blend of sim and real world that I'd love to see here. Now,
Yeah, absolutely.
the right side of the bracket we got going on. I'm looking at it. The first battle is going to be Nick Hang versus Samuel Cuddy. The one battle I'm looking into is Warren versus Simon Sandman, and Petraku versus Patrick. Those are the two battles I'm looking super excited for. I can't wait to see what this right side of the bracket shows up. The top 16, any of these people that win, all the top 16 battles are like final battles. It's going to be absolutely electric.
Yeah, I think we've seen a little bit of that already with some of these drivers treating even their top 32 battle like one of their final battles. And I think what also helps is that when it comes to this track, since so many of these drivers have so many laps, a lot of them can kind of just rely on muscle memory, and they don't have to try and make their way around the track, still just interpreting the data of just looking around them and taking it all in, where some of it could still be a little bit newer to them. A lot of these rounds, these drivers try to get as much practice as possible, but it is a little bit easier when, if you're just trying to also have fun, if the servers that you can go jump onto where there's just the most amount of people active are also rounds that are going to be in the Drift Master series.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll always see these servers get populated. One of the biggest communities out there, ACS, they're always putting out these servers just so people to have an environment and a place to learn, practice, and active moderator, so you don't get those people that like to go on the opposite side of the track and try to play chicken with you while you're trying to initiate in the first outer zone.
And if you are just joining us, or if you didn't catch it earlier, we were just doing a server reset. So now that the server reset's been complete, we'll be lining back up and jumping right back into the action.
Yeah, every what was it? Half of the top 32 battles. So the left side of the bracket gets a server reset, and then the right side of the bracket gets a server reset. This is to make sure that the connection is as efficient as possible for each driver, making it as an equal playing ground for everybody. But now we have the Ford Sierra in the lead. Nick Hang, Sam Cuddy in the chase with that BMW. Nick Hang has been doing great things with that Ford Sierra. As you see him coming into that first outer zone, getting those tires lighting off into outer zone 1, then going to outer zone 2, massaging the angle, not much correction at the wheel, but look at my man Sam Cuddy going in right to angle, following that Ford Sierra, knowing that wheelbase is so small, but then getting right to the door, not afraid if that back bumper is dragging on that wall.
This is always one of my favorite cars to see here in competition. The Ford Sierra just looks very cool coming around the track all the time. Big gaps, though, coming through these first corners between the lead and chase driver. There's a lot of room there between both the cars. That proximity definitely needs to be smaller. So the Sierra on that chase position has a lot of opportunity to stand out in the judges' eyes within the first half of the section. The BMW doing a great job, though, just getting close by the end of the run.
Here we go. We're going to have the second half of the battle. You're going to see Nick Hang, see if he hangs on to the door of Sam Cuddy. It's his initiation right and that e-brake so he can float right to outer zone 1. Look at that Ford Sierra flying through that smoke. That Ford-powered machine going all the way through each zone. Absolutely maniacal as Sam Cuddy locks the angle, floats to that wall, lights off the tires. But look at Nick Hang.
Definitely looking to capitalize on that previous run right there. The Sierra doing a good job initiating right here, looking to stay closer. The BMW trying to pull away from right here. It looks like just through the snappiness of the transition from the Sierra, doing a great job making up there. It doesn't detract from the fact that BMW is still on a tremendous lead run, doing a great job, putting down what would ultimately be an excellent qualifying run. As they come across the horseshoe, though, the Sierra is just a shadow behind it.
Man. Sliding left for Nick Hang. Sliding right for Sam Cuddy. And Nick Hang gets the win and moves on. And now we have our next battle. Stanislav Tarasov versus Braden Swan, another AOM member, coming out here to compete. Those guys, I keep bringing up the AOM guys. They're making big moves here. There's a good portion of them in VDC, but also in the real world. You have Rampage, who was competing in Virtual Drift Masters. He's actually a spotter for Connor O'Sully in Formula Drift, as well as a Pro-Am spotter. So he loves the sport. He's probably spotting for his boys in AOM as well. But here we go. Braden Swan is in the chase. Stanislav Tarasov in the lead. Huge jump. Oh, that's a big mistake. But as they're going into this initiation, look at Braden Swan locking its angle with that 370Z. Now diving into outer zone 2, getting that nice proximity and fill out. Look at Stanislav Tarasov going to his power alley, locking in the angle, just sliding off those tires, floating to that, wow, floating to that wall, and then lighting off those tires so he could not make contact with that wall was insane.
Got to take a close look at this entry right here, making sure they didn't step out too far wide. Looks like right there you see a little bit of grass and dirt kick up as he comes across the first corner. 370Z doing all the work he can to try and stay close. See this transition right here, sweep across. This is the setup again for that big decel as we see on approach to the wall. Right here was an opportunity to take a much more calculated risk to get closer. Right there, it seems like it's pretty difficult to get that gap any closer by the 370Z.
Yeah, we were having a conversation last round on Mondello. There's one battle where it looked like dirt was kicked up, but these judges will look nitty gritty to see if they actually made contact with that dirt patch or were they just really close to the outer line that dirt was kicking up. But here we go. Braden Swan going into that first outer zone. Looks like, oh no!
Oh no!
That 370. And here comes our sponsored panic attack from Alec.
Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. Look, at the end of the day, virtual or not, this is just a very dangerous sport. And obviously, we're all here for entertainment, but we also take our driver safety very seriously. A lot of these drivers are using direct force feedback wheels. So when that happens, that could be a life-threatening incident where the wheel can kick back and actually throw you outside of your window, to the neighbor's house, into the street. So at the end of the day, just, always do your wrist exercises. Make sure that you are practicing safe driving. But it looks like he is okay. He was able to give a thumbs up and pull up to where the judges are going to have to make the call. We can only assume how that is going to turn out for them. Shout out to their family that I know is watching today. Just, even as family members, I think that's where it hits home the most because, of course, we all believe in the dream and no one wakes up assuming that they're going to be the one that crashes that day or has an incident. But shout out to their family being very strong and supportive even in this moment. And looks like he's going to get to race another day.
And Braden Swan gets the win. I can't with you, Alec. I ain't gonna lie. I have a direct drive wheel, and I caught my finger in the middle of that by mistake. And yeah, these wheels don't play no games when you hit that wall. Now we have Alan Hines, Drift Masters driver. He's gonna be in the lead. We're Skirt Kubarsep. Alan Hines, you see his sib cam there. You have Gert Kubarsep. He's going to be in the chase. I think he had to back off a little bit. Maybe Seeing if there's ping. So some of these guys, they'll back off just if they see their ping go really high, just to see if it'll settle down. Or maybe it's the light that you saw scooting along the ground. There's different types of little pauses that they have to do. So compared to real world, there can be some technical difficulties, as well as sim world. You have that as well. Here we go. Alan Hines in the lead. Kurt Kubersep in the chase. Alan Hines coming in here with a nice initiation, locking that back tire, then lighting it off. Going to outer zone 1, smooth as butter. Going to outer zone 2, filling it all the way out in that inner clip. Outer zone 3 is butter as they're going to outer zone 4. And here comes that decel zone. Man, oh man. Alan Hines absolutely stellar as Kurt Kubersep is mirroring him throughout the last zone.
Alan Hines is one of the drivers in this series that is one of the real-life drivers, and he has such familiarity with his car and his virtual car because they are pretty close to being one and the same. So we see them come across this inside zone here. Lots of proximity to be made up right there by the chase driver. He does a good job at using this area to position himself and dive into the outside of the horseshoe near the wall. But Hines is just on rails as he comes across the line, very steady. And if you're making any mistakes in the chase and the lead driver is that steady, it definitely stands out more to the judges. It's contrasting both styles of driving.
And here we go. We got Alan Hines in the chase. Kurt Kubersep in the lead. Alan Hines uses this as a tool to kind of practice for his real-life events, as well as just getting a familiarity of his car, like you were saying before. It's awesome to see that these professional drivers are using the sim as practice. But here we go, second half of this battle. Kurt Kubersep coming in, huge angle, and then gets in the grass.
Oh my goodness!
Look at that angle. Oh my goodness! Can we get a G-force check on that?
Oh man, the paramedics are getting their work cut out for them today. They thought they were just going to be able to sit down because safety regulations have taken big leaps and bounds in the sim racing community, but they've still got to do their due diligence, go do a checkup on him, make sure his vitals are okay after that one. That was a big hit into the concrete wall. These guys are warriors. Ultimately, everyone's ready to pay the final price when they come out here, and they're ready to compete for the name of just the love of motorsport, the love of the game, love of the fans. That is a tough one. Guys, please, as they make their way back to the pits, also just a reminder, if you're a fan here in the real-life virtual series, if you're one of the NPCs walking around the paddock, just please give them space when they get back. They're going to need to get checked out by the paramedics. Give them some time before you walk up for autographs or photos. Just be respectful. And now the judges are going to go ahead and give the official verdict. They've been able to deem fault for the incident. And it looks like Hines is going to get the win. Fellow calling this Farming Simulator 2025.
Just to jump in and explain that one. Yeah, so that one does look initially very similar to the last battle, where it looks like the chase comes in a bit too hard and causes contact. However, we went back and had a look at the replay, and it's not quite the same thing. So unfortunately, Gert goes a little bit too wide on the entry and dips a tire in the grass just before the contact with Alan. So he was already going off and out the track, and yes, Alan does then hit him, but it's because Gert is already floating off out of the track line, and at that point, he's just a passenger.
All right, so you heard it there from the horse's mouth, from the judge's mouth, and there, I mean, I think that elaborates too that the icy feel of the grass is real. If you touch it, you are going on.
And here comes Simon Sandman. He is on the bottom left of the sim cam, and look at Warren in the chase. Black Smoke team getting right to the door of Simon Sandman. Simon Sandman absolutely focused, going into that inner clip and then outer zone 3, transitioning in this power alley to the outer zone 4, and look at Black Smoke team coming out here, bucking up that front end. Oh, some contact on that wall as they're going to outer zone 5. My goodness.
Black Smoke Racing, always a fan favorite as they became instant viral content on Instagram, social media, YouTube. after introducing the Black Smoke Racing Mercedes in the Real Life Driftmaster series. And here we see both driving by both drivers, or Crate driving by both drivers. A little bit of contact there as he backs himself into the wall there. They do a good job getting closer on proximity. There's still a little bit of meat on the bone there, so it's still anybody's game going into that second round.
Black Smoke Racing, Juno Warren in the lead. Simon Sandman in the chase. Simon Sandman representing the awake team. Oh my goodness, that was super sketchy side-by-side initiation. But look at Juno Warren getting into outer zone 1, diving into that inner clip, going to outer zone 3. Now going to this final big horseshoe where a lot of people are making huge mistakes. Look at Simon Sandman tucking into the door and then trying to match the angle, but knowing that oh my goodness, knowing that the car is so big, he can't match the angle of Juno Warren.
Sandman's last name might be Sandman, but he's doing anything but putting us to sleep. We are excited to see this chase run, and we see him do a great job getting great proximity. We see the Mercedes just flooring it as Sandman's trying to see through both two different shades of smoke from the diesel and the tire smoke as they dive into this decel zone, do a great job keeping that proximity close there. I think this would maybe leaning a little bit more towards Sandman, but it's really going to be the judge's call to look at that. And then, as we are looking at the same thing as the crowds, both here and on YouTube, we've got we know the judges have access to a couple different angles that they can look at as well, so they'll be pulling all of these runs apart.
It looks like Juno Warren gets the win and moves on. Big W for the Black Smoke Racing team. And now we have our points leader, Zach O'Sullivan versus Wallman. Oh man.
Yeah, right there. I think there was just too many big mistakes made on the previous run for Sandman to be able to make it up on the chase. While it was impressive, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about lead versus lead. That's a big thing to think about. But here we go. We have our next battle. Wallman's in the chase. Oh, we have sip cams on. Zach O'Sullivan in the lead. Wallman in the chase. Here comes Zach coming into that first outer zone. Absolutely clinical. Going to that first outer zone. Look at Wallman trying to dive into the pocket, use that left foot brake to massage the angle so he can get that close proximity. Here comes Zach O'Sullivan. Cool as a cucumber as he is going through each zone, locking its angle. Now rubbing that back bumper onto that wall. Look at Wallman rubbing that back bumper on that wall and rubbing the front tire on the door.
Maybe one of the runs that we have both a textbook lead and chase. We see that initiation right there. That's 15 doing a great job just reading the car, but O'Sullivan is literally on rails as he comes around the track. Could have been a little bit closer to that inside flip, coming right into that outside zone. Does a great job transitioning here, locking onto the wall, but the S15 is confident following O'Sullivan, and that is one of the consequences that comes with being one of the more consistent drivers, is that when you know you're chasing someone like O'Sullivan, you know you can fully commit behind him, and you don't have to hesitate or read him very much. So he was able to take huge advantage of that.
Wallman looking like a cyberpunk character as he is on the sim cam, coming in here, going in with a big skitty flick, and it looks like he goes off track, and his tires fly off.
Oh my goodness!
My goodness. Wow. That was huge.
Oh man, that has to be one of the most violent crashes we've seen in Virtual Drift Masters history. Looks like he's pulling up to the line, but definitely got to make sure he's doing all right. You can see our helicopter cam flying around right now. It's actually a camera that on the same helicopter that works as our medical evac helicopter. So it looks like we may be using it here in a moment. We see a little bit of the trauma right here, and up onto the wall. Oh my goodness!
Oh, he flipped.
Flipped upside down with all the full
seen a crash
suspension
like
detached
that.
from the car.
I think
And it's things like this that become the reason.
I was gonna say the last crash we seen similar to that was the one from Fuel Fest, but here we go. Zach O'Sullivan gets the win. Man, Wallman, yeah, you love that Wallman. And Alec,
we can see him with
that
the
was
VR
insane.
headset on. Yeah, I mean, and the biggest thing is, remember, he's in VR, so you got to remember that some of this can cause, you know, it's sort of a PTS drift is what we call it, where you can, you know, be in such a real environment in the VR, where you can have actual bad dreams about some of the crashes you've had. So hopefully he's able to get some good night's sleep, shake it off.
Here's Tyler Duck in the chase. Adrian Roncero in the lead. Tyler Duck getting locked in. Florida native. Coming in here with a nice initiation from Adrian Roncero with that 890 Supra. Look at Tyler Duck trying to dive into the pocket. And absolutely David in this Goliath story as Adrian Roncero is getting into each zone. Going to this decel zone. Huge angle.
Ooh.
Oh, contact with the wall from Tyler Duck, but able to fight through it.
We almost saw a little bit more carnage on track as we came through this run here. We see a good initiation, great setup by both drivers. We see a little bit of a wobble as he looks for the opportunity of when to turn in and transition to keep that proximity at bay as he comes through this transition here. The setup is where we start to see things go wrong. We see a big transition, big flip, backing it up into the wall, but he's able to recover from it. That was a hard hit where it ends up repositioning the car, definitely disturbing it. So that's going to definitely be a mark against him for the judges. It may still be a complete, but fortunately, it's a very obvious mistake.
Yeah, it's a huge mistake there. But here we go. We got Tyler Duck in the lead. Getting locked in. Adrian Roncero, Escuco team. 890 Supra. Look at Tyler Duck coming in with a huge initiation. Going to that zone, and looks like a possible tire drop on outer zone 1. Going to outer zone 2. Able to fill out that inner clip 3. Going to outer zone 4. All the way in to that decel zone. Let's see how Tyler Duck backs himself into it. And look at Adrian Roncero. A huge mistake in the chase as he is going in to the final outer zone. Man.
We might be looking at very similar mistakes made by both drivers. You see them come in here. Great job, but a little bit of a fallback here. We see them try to use a longer transition to try and make up for that recovery there. You see them come through this outside zone and the setup ultimately for the decel zone. You see lead driver do a great job locking in, and here's where we see a little bit of aggression coming in, but ultimately not nearly as bad of a backup into the wall as we saw in the previous run. Judges have already made their decision, so let's see what they thought about it.
It looks like Adrian Roncero gets the win and moves on. It's good to see Tyler Duck qualifying for the top 32s. Love seeing that guy compete. We have 2 more battles of top 32 on the right side of this bracket. After that, we'll be taking a break, and we'll be doing another interview as well with Miss Rose. But here we go. We have Brandon Patrick and Ethan Petraku. Pika Pika. Petraku is in the chase, and he has googly eyes on his VR headset. As you see Brandon Patrick in the lead, coming into that first outer zone. And that BMW going into outer zone 2, locking in the angle. Now getting to outer zone 3. And my goodness, he is getting an absolutely beautiful lead run for Ethan Petraku to follow everywhere he goes. And Petraku is rubbing the front tire on the door.
2 very different cars to mesh together on this run, and we see a great job of all techniques here all around as you see them come around this outside zone. We do see a little bit of a shallower angle from the chase cars, looking to sacrifice that intentionally to be able to stay closer to the lead driver. To see them come into the wall here, both of them do a great job taking their time out there, but we do see a little bit of yo-yoing from the chase driver as far as where we see those surges and then fall back. So I just think very difficult to keep up, and the chase driver struggling to figure out where to make some sacrifices.
Here we go. Petraku is now in the lead. And Brandon Patrick in the chase. Nearly a side-by-side initiation. Look at Petraku getting an absolutely killer first fill out. Going to outer zone 2, inner clip 3. Now outer zone 4 is beautiful as well. And look at Patrick being as smooth as possible, as conservative as possible until the end, rubbing that tire on the door of Ethan Petraku.
Credit where credit is due. Petrocco absolutely locked onto rails here on this outside zone here. Very steady, great transitions, great proximity to every single clip. That BMW starts to become a shadow. We see a big brake check right there, trying to avoid some contact, which creates some distance. It has to be reeled back in here at the horseshoes. They come into the door here. We see good proximity, but Petrocco putting down what it would ultimately be just an incredible qualifying run as his lead run.
I love that initiation. That was one of my favorite initiations from Brandon Patrick this season. That was that was insane. That was showing the confidence he has with that car. Left for Patrick, right for Petraku. I can't take Petraku serious with those googly eyes. It's a serious moment, Petraku. As we're waiting for the judge's decision here.
What a lot of people don't know is that behind the VR headset, Petrocco actually has another set of googly eyes. So, just be ready.
And it looks like Brandon Patrick gets the win and moves on. Great win for Brandon Patrick. Oh, man.
And a huge shout out to our track staff out there holding the signs up in front of every pit. There are a ton of them out there. They've stayed completely still the entire event, and they're all volunteers. Also, we're not paying them, so very thankful to have that kind of dedication out here today.
Talking about the pit crews, bro. Here we go. We got Lucas Tasaminski versus Alexander Element. Lucas, absolutely insane driver. Here he goes in the lead. Coming in with a big skinny flick going to that first outer zone. Lock it in. That line that he needs to be. Look at Alexander Element rubbing the front bumper on the back bumper of Tashiminski as they're going to outer zone 4 and then going to outer zone 5. Lock it in angle. Going to this decel zone. Lights off the tires on that wall. Look at Alexander Element reeling him in like a big old fish.
Love to see it. Both of these competitors have been with Drift Masters Virtual from the beginning. Very aggressive and always showstoppers when they come around the track. They are very familiar with every single layout, as you see right here, keeping good proximity, good line. Ultimately, a little bit of work could be done when it comes to execution of some of that proximity, but Element doing a great job, getting nice and comfy right here at the end. And you gotta love also the driver wearing the merch in the cam.
Of course. There we go. We got the next half of this battle. Final battle for the top 32. Alexander Element, Lucas Chashiminski. Here we go. Alexander Element getting absolutely an amazing chase run on that first lap, but look at him lock in the angle. Lucas Chashiminski needs to reel him in and suck in that proximity as much as possible, transitioning to the outer zone 3 and 4. I'm going to 5 and 6 as they're locking in, and Chashiminski is struggling with the proximity as the shallow up angle. Oh no!
Element putting down an extremely good lead run right here. A big gap separates them at the very beginning. We do see a lot of effort put in to close that gap throughout the run. However, we also see a lot of wobbling and attempts to do it here. Seems a little unsteady about the method used to try and get caught up again. Element right here is just, again, on rails, doing a great job. A little bit of a brake check. It just looks like a little bit of a plague on the chase driver of just some overcorrections or overcalculations there. But Element ultimately with a great lead run. So it's going to come down to some chase for sure between both drivers. Is it going to be enough? Right for Element, left for Tazimski.
And
There we
Alexander
go, and
Edelman gets the
Alexander.
win. Josh Trubisky is upset. I love the sim cams, but it kind of breaks my heart when they get a loss and you see the disgust in their face and upset about it. But man, top 32. What do you think, Alec?
Ultimately, we've had a lot of drama, a lot of really great battles, some upsets also. Some people that usually come in here and very confidently work their way up to top 8 being dropped out. And I think that we've got a lot more action coming, along with hopefully no more near-death experiences. We've got Rose Penelope joining us again. Rose, where have you been and what have you been up to and what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, guys, that was eventful. There were so many victims of that first outside zone. So, that was great viewing, but I feel bad for the drivers. One of the highlight battles for me, I suppose, was the team battle with Nico Stalea and Shistov Rapina. I mean, team battles are always great, guys, right? But, I mean, it's unfortunate that you have to go against your teammate, but it's a competition at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And especially with there's so many people here on the team battles, you're gonna see one possibly coming up here with the AOM guys. It's an absolutely good mixture of everybody now. And now we're having our top 16 bracket show up. What are you looking at the top 16 bracket, Rose? I don't know if she can hear me.
Oh, looks like we might
Well,
have
Alec,
lost her for a little bit. I'll take over as Rose.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, boys, it seems like it's been a lot of good competition so far, and I think that as we see things continue on, we'd like to see some more team battles. I also have an interview coming up that I'll be sharing with you all, and I think it's going to be very good. The first interview did very great, so I'll continue to have a great competition. Thank you very much, Rose, and honestly, the interview, the first one, was incredible. So we're looking forward to seeing you again. We'll get the technical difficulties ironed out. And then people get to watch you in the flesh. And they don't have to listen to my horrible impression. Taney, how you doing?
That was a rough Irish accent, brother. I don't want to hear you say that. Do try it again. We need to take you on to some classes. But we're gonna be taking a break here, guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying us. Give Alec a raise. We love it. Me and Alec have done our real life drift competitions in Florida. Love to have him at Virtual Drift Masters here. And we'll catch you guys right after this break. And then there will be an interview with Rose with two drivers.
Oh, the shadow tags the wall, almost throws it away as Heidenen backs it in across the line. Unbelievable again. What a final. What a finish. Rory Heinen is your 2024 champion.
aby twoje wydarzenie wyglądało jak finał Mistrzostw Świata? Wiemy, co pokazać na ekranie, zanim widz zdąży o tym pomyśleć. Ragnar Simulator. Od idei do transmisji.
By two of our drivers qualifying 10th and 11th place in qualifying yesterday. Our Polish driver, Lucas Tatiemski. Lucas, you scored a 96.25 yesterday. Brilliant score, and thank you for joining us. Now, Lucas, talk to us about that big score in qualifying and how did you find the layout?
Yeah, for me, it's a good results, but the level of the driver is amazing because I was in 11th position. If you want to be in top 32, you must to get a higher point than 92. It's sick.
Incredible, yeah. And Lucas, you drive in real life, okay? You won the last 2 rounds in the Drift Open, one of the major Polish championships, right? Tell us how your sim drifting contributes to your success in real life driving.
My main experience is from sim drifting, so I'm proud to represent this world. And for me, it's a very good experience to compete in real driver. So last year I competed in the last round in Drift Masters in Warsaw in Poland. So I have only competed in one competition last year and go to the final round. And in the qualification, I was in 27 position. So I'm proud to represent in this world, this sim drift community.
Amazing. Okay. And Lucas, will we see you maybe as a wild card in the real life series at the end of the year?
Yeah, this is the plan for the last round. So we will see. Because in this year I get a lot of experience in real world, in real life. So we will see how I gonna grow in the restaurant in Drift Masters.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Lucas, and we'll see you in the next round on the virtual championship.
Yeah, thank you, Rose, and see you soon.
Thank you. Now, guys, we have our Swedish driver sitting 30th overall in the championship. Another high qualifying score yesterday with a 96.5. Simon, welcome. Brilliant score yesterday. Are you happy with your season progress so far?
I think so. I feel like I'm doing good overall with the amount of practice I put in. There hasn't been a lot of driving, if I say so. So I'm happy where I'm sitting right now.
Okay, and that was my next question. I was just going to ask you about how much practice you are getting, but you're not getting as much practice as you would like. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, no, there's so much else I have to do, and yeah, the only time I really get to sit there is when it's time for competition. So like half an hour of practice.
Okay, yeah, completely understood. And it's hard being an adult, right? Well, thank you very much, Simon, and we'll see you the next round, I'm sure.
Thank you, Rose.
All right, okay. Thank you.
And here we go. We're back. It's such a heartbreak when you have 2 guys that lost their top 32 battles that qualified so high, and they just have to hang up the sim rigs and continue on with their day. Alec, what do you think about these top 16 battles here going on forward?
Yeah, I mean, qualifying could definitely create almost like a phantom sense of confidence, because just because you did really good in qualifying, anything can go when it comes to competition. And so I'm really excited to see what's going to happen now. I'm also very glad we got to see that interview happen in our time off. I went ahead and listened to my impression, and I have a lot of work to do. So the best solution is that we just don't have any more technical difficulties, and that we get the real deal every time, and that worked out great. So looking back at our bracket, we're jumping into top 16. And now is the time to sit down, relax, and enjoy the show. I myself have a beverage which I cannot show anything of. Very refreshing, but if you want me to promote your drink, you have to give us money. So as we move forward into the competition, we're gonna jump right into the action.
Here we go. We got Ernestus Jaku versus Vitaly Azeev. Oh man. So Ernestus Jaku into the lead. Blade, I see you. So Vitaly Azeev is in the chase. Here we go. We're getting ready for the lights here. And I had a question. There was a question in the chat earlier. How do they mitigate like server issues? They do restarts, and they'll do a couple practice laps with everybody in the server just to see how the ping is, so on and so forth. But here we go. First battle of our top 16. Our last year's champion, Jaku in the lead, coming into that first outer zone. Boom! Hits it right to angle, floats out early out of the outer zone 1, hitting the outer zone 2, going to enter clip 3. Outer zone 4 is a good fill out, and look at Vitaly Azeev, knowing Jaku is last year's champion and needs to reel him in like an absolutely angry tuna, and oh mercy, the chase was real.
Here's the first sampling we get that is just the definition of where pressure is. I mean, when we come to defending a champion versus trying to get a championship, both of them are heavy weights to have on your shoulders and will force you to push your car to the absolute limit, which we see done well here by both drivers in top 16. Guys, we told you what was coming your way. These drivers are going to, from here on out, drive like it's the final because that is what it takes to move on. And we've said it before, you don't want to leave the run in the judges' hands. If you do that, there's a 50-50 shot. You're putting your car back on the virtual trailer and driving in virtual home.
We have our second half of this battle. Vitaly Azeev is now in the lead. Jaku knows he needs to stick it to his door. Let's see if he do that crazy side-by-side initiation like he's done with the other drivers. Oh, mercy!
Oh,
it
no!
Makes contact!
No!
It's a sim, Alec.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay. Take a deep breath in, drink that beverage, it'll be all okay.
Yep. It's refreshing, or is it? We'll never know. This is tough here, especially because it looks like part of the blame there, it may have been on the defending champion, causing some contact and then ultimately shoving into the wall. So remember, it's not just the person who crashed who ends up losing if there's fault deemed. And look at that replay. It was definitely contact. I think the judges are likely going to rule that against Jaku, but at the end of the day, I'm just an announcer and also, a human. So when I see these things happen, it can sometimes be difficult. At the end of the day, we want to entertain. But there you have it. Azeev gets the win, which means my suspicion was right. Jaku is to blame there on that incident. So Azeev moving on, and he'll have to go get checked out by the med team. And as long as he's still able to drive, he may have to drift with one arm in a sling. And that may make things difficult, but at least his day is going to continue.
Speaking of that, can we talk about James the Machine Dean when I think he broke his collarbone and still competed. That's we're talking about real life drivers now, and drivers
and
in
won.
the real world.
Pretty sure he won that event.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he won that too. He's an absolute. These guys with the adrenaline going through, like that's the only thing with sim. You don't get the adrenaline, you don't get the G forces, but you do get that kind of muscle memory with these guys. But I tip my hat to James the Machine Dean. And here we go. We got Steven Jarbo in the lead. Daniel Andrejev in the chase. The bottom left camera is Daniel Andrejev. It is not Steven Jarbo. Steven Jarbo's in that RX-7, coming in with that RX-7 into that first outer zone. You see that wheel just lighting off smoke as they're going to outer zone 4 and going to outer zone 5. Beautiful transition. Look at Daniel Andrejev locking the angle. Oh, he had to make a huge correction in the chase to try to get that proximity again at that last wall.
That RX-7 is just such a beast and also very quick. You got to know you're chasing him as a competitor, that you really need to dot your I's and cross your T's and keep as much momentum up as possible and just commit behind that RX-7, which there it seems like the chase driver is able to interpret, fully knows. These guys have seen each other in competition before, and now we see them making their way around this wall here. A little bit of an inside line to be able to stay on the proximity. And definitely interested to see that second run as they hear some communication from their spotters to look for where there's opportunity to improve and stand out in front of the judges.
Here we go. Second half of this battle. Steven Jarbo did a great job in the lead. Let's see how he does in the chase. Getting really close to the rear quarter panel of Andrejev, and Andrejev hits that first outer zone. Money going to outer zone 2. Beautiful. Look at Steven Jarbo just being the ace shadow. And oh man!
Oh!
Andrejev goes almost off track, and I think he tried to correct himself to dive back on the track to get the line. Steven Jarbo makes contact, but they do fight through it, which I love seeing in the sim.
Yeah, both drivers doing a great job initiating right here. We can see from the immediate start that the BMW is looking to use all of the track, and this is where we start to see that unfortunately become an issue for him as he drops onto the rumble strip there, slips out wide. RX-7 misreads the situation, and both drivers are able to get back onto the track. But the judge are going to have to take a look at that first mistake. It was definitely done by the BMW, but then the RX-7 comes in, makes a hit. At that point, the run may have already been incomplete by the BMW. So that's going to be some of the stuff that they're looking for to make a decision, and ultimately they're always going to have to struggle to try and get back on track and on a wheel that is much more difficult.
It looks like Daniel Andrejev gets the win. We're gonna see it. We're gonna have the judges explain what we saw here shortly on what made that judge's decision here. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, sure. So really simple one there. That comes down to a little bit of contact. So the chase there from Steven Jarbo just comes in as he transitions from 4 to 5 and just clips the bumper of Daniel, sending him on that wider arc off the track before the clipping point.
Okay, yeah, we didn't see it from the studio cameras, but judges have different cameras. No, man. And now we have Nico the Kid Stella in the lead. Biķernieki in the chase. Biķernieki is just going straight line with that 890 Supra, and it looks like he goes off track. And Nico the Kid Stella is in the lead. He does need to complete this lap, and Biķernieki is trying to fight in that proximity as he lost on that first outer zone. And now he is in a huge deficit in this battle.
Stella doing a great job competing and just making his way through the rest of the course. Oh, looks like we're missing some of the footage here on this replay. But from what we could see just as it was happening, I don't believe there was anything that prompted him to go off track. I think he just sent it a little too deep and then ended up going off for that reason. So as long as the judges see the same thing, then this may be something where all Stella has to do in this position, just play it safe, don't have an inactive chase, and also just don't be too greedy. There's already a 0 on the board. All he wants to do is do a nice safe chase run, so we may not see some aggression, but then again, Stella loves to party.
Here's Biķernieki going into that first outer zone, right to angle, and then going into outer zone 2. Nico the Kid Stella diving into the pocket, giving him some room, knowing that he needs an active chase. An active chase will have a complete lap there for him as they're going to the final outer zone. Biķernieki does a great job in the lead, making a little bit of contact with that wall in the final outer zone. But, oh, mercy.
Yeah, so here we go, exactly as I said. I mean, Stella's doing the chase, but also you can see a little bit more conservative angle right there, not taking risks that aren't necessary, just going ahead and doing a regular chase run, not looking to play it overly aggressive, because ultimately he just needs to put in a clean run here. This is the best strategy to just get through to the next round. I do appreciate to see it there. The Takata seatbelt on, practicing safe driving, even on the simulator.
Nico on the left, Biķernieki to the right. And Nico the Kid Stella gets the win! Moves on to the top 8, the Great 8.
Love to see it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Oh, man. Now we have our final battle of the top 16 on the left side of the bracket. Is Martinez Austriaca versus Armand Vestamanis.
I don't know how their arms don't get tired holding those signs.
Talking about the track staff again?
Yeah, they're warriors.
We're halfway through our top 16. Armand Vestamanis is in the lead. Martinez Austriaca in the chase. Here he comes, RTR livery. And look at Martinez being as predictable as possible. Just seeing what the front tires are doing on that lead car. And look at Armand Vestamanis doing a good job hitting each zone. Getting into that nice deep fill out, transitioning into this decel zone, lighting off the tires at the right point. But Martinez is right there, knowing that he's doing a great line and is able to mimic him as much as possible.
Here he comes in that lead run, putting the definition to the phrase Racing Team Riga. Doing a great job here, making his way around the track. Good angle. Pace driver doing a good job just checking the brakes, trying to get himself into the pocket. He does a little bit of struggle on that first half of the section, and then he does a good job right here, just dialing it right back in again. Most of the drivers throughout this competition have done a great job making use of that last turn. Just try and make sure they cross the line together.
Now we have Martinez in the lead now. Armand Vestamanis in the chase. I'm looking for the lights. Huge jump from Armand. Oh, no. I don't know if he wanted that. Maybe he did. But here comes a side-by-side initiation going to that first outer zone. And look at Armand just keeping that proximity. Going to outer zone 2. Now it falls behind a little bit. Hits that inner clip. And here comes Martinez Austriaca going to his power alley into this decel zone. Lighting off the tires. Will he do it in time? Yes, he does. Hits that outer zone. Lights him off. Rubs that back bumper. And look at Armand rubbing the front tire on the door.
Great performance by both drivers. Right here, I'm interested to see how big that gap really ends up becoming. We know they started out close. That little bit of contact right there, I think, creates some separation, and there you go. There's a big gap between both drivers. You see him immediately reel back in this transition right here, though, as they come to the setup. Great e-brake pull drag right along the wall here from Austriaca as they come across the wall, and then from here on out, they are door to door across the line with a little bit of tap there as they get across the finish.
Absolutely bonkers. Left for Vestamanis, right for Austriaca. He's giving himself a round of applause. I think he has a good feeling about this. And Martinez Austriaca gets the win and moves on. There's a thumbs up. Good sportsmanship there.
Something I like to see in this sport is when it comes to a great battle, this is one of the only motorsports, or sports in general for that matter, where you can lose with a smile on your face. Because ultimately, when there's great back-to-back tandems, it's just awesome to be a part of them. So even when another guy beats you and the judges deemed it, if you guys both left 100% on the table, there's absolutely no reason to be upset. If anything, you can be ecstatic.
Yeah. That's what I love about this motorsport. And now we're on the right side of this bracket. You got Nick Hang versus Braden Swan. Nick Hang putting his camera on. He's going to be in the lead. Getting locked in, coming in with a big scanny flick, going into that first outer zone. Look at Braden Swan with that 370Z, rubbing that front bumper on the back bumper of Braden. Oh my goodness. They're so close to each other in this power alley. Look at Braden Swan, just knowing where he's gonna go. And then hucking the angle, staying close, holding the proximity, pushing him through the line. Wow.
Ultimately, there is only one way to chase Nick Hang, and that is 100% commitment. As we see the 370Z right here, look to make that read, come through the transition, hang straight to full lock. You see a little bit of shallowing out on angle intentionally, most likely, to try and make sure that that proximity does not falter and that there is no gap created there. And then right here, we see the dive in and glue applied to the wall as they come across the line.
Holy smokes. I didn't know how he didn't make contact with that guy. Locked in. Now let's see if Nick Hang will return the favor and hang onto the door of Braden Swan. As Swan, we see him spreading his wings. Let's see if he'll fly here at Riga. Braden Swan is getting into his first initiation. Look at Nick Hang! Oh no! It looks like there was possible contact. Braden Swan is going to fight through it and just give a good lap as best as possible after that contact. Going into each zone. Beautiful fill out going to this final outer zone. Look at Nick Hang now reeling him in. Braden Swan doing a great job filling each zone and then completing the lap.
Difficult watch because this is never the way that you want to see an event go, but there you go. You see an aggressive flick by Hang, and it looks like it makes contact with the back of the lead driver's car, causing him to be in a bad position there, and then a recommitment from Nick Hang causes there to be some contact and ultimately a shutdown. So I have to assume the judges are likely going to give some fault to Hang. I know they have got some extra cameras they can look at, which is just unfortunate because Nick Hang came here today. You know, he's got his car in order, he's got his bed in order, as you can see in the background, even made his bed this morning, but unfortunately his driving may not be in order today.
Right for Swan, left for Hang. And the tension is here.
Honestly, if I have to critique the bed making skills, like now that we're just being honest, it does look like there's a little bit of slack there on the bed sheet. I think you could just pull that a little bit tighter.
Leave Nick Hang alone, okay?
All right, you're right. Let's just see what the judges have to say.
At least the bed sheets ain't hanging off the bed.
That's true. Full confession, I did not make my own bed this morning.
Full confession, that was a total dad joke. And Braden Swan gets the win and moves on. This is going to be the end of the road for Nick Hang. Giving a clap as he is driving off.
Yeah, at the end of the day there, I think pulling up to that area, Hang likely already knew where this was going to go. You know, from his position, you always know when it's a mistake because at some point this is all muscle memory. So even before that contact was made, he probably knew he was in trouble.
Yeah. And here we go. We have our next battle here. Alan Hines versus Jonah Warden, and he's just unleashing that black smoke right now as we have Alan Hines getting locked in. Here we go. Lights are green. Alan Hines coming in with a nice flick, going to that first outer zone, and here comes Warden. Black Smoke Racing going into the chase with that Mercedes, trying to hold in that proximity as Alan Hines is going through this power alley into this final two zones, getting right to the decel zone, lighting off the tires. Look at Warden just reeling them in, saying, I am right here with you, brother.
Here we go, initiation here. Alan Hines doing a great job. Again, one of the drivers that's regularly on rails because he is just so familiar with his car. But right here, you can see there's just a shadow right behind his car. Great job not letting off any proximity and matching his angle almost to a T on every single one of these corners. This is a solid run where both drivers are going to be pushing for small margins on that next run to make a difference.
We have these absolutely heavy hitters here. Alan Hines, you see him a little bit farther to the right of the track. Probably getting himself lined up a little bit more. And look at how aggressive that initiation is from Alan Hines, and then holds the proximity. The transition is buttery smooth from Warren. And look at Alan Hines holding him in, reeling him in, getting that door-to-door action throughout the power alley, going to the final outer zone. Alan Hines is rubbing that front tire on that door, and they are absolutely mirrored.
This is Drift Masters, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Textbook clinic being put on by both drivers. Really great proximity, great speed, great job passing through those clipping zones. The judges definitely have a battle in front of them where they've got their work cut out for them. There's only a little bit of bobbling from both drivers there, but for the most part, if you were to run these side by side, I think there's very comparable aspects to both of their leads, both of their chases. So the drivers will take a look at that unless there's something that they saw stands out very quickly to them. But we're going to our helicopter cam, so I think that means they are deliberating it. So if they can make a decision any faster than my wife can decide what she wants to eat for dinner, then we will move this competition right along. But in the meantime, from here on out, I think we're going to see a lot more of this. What about you, Tiny?
It's just going to be nonstop of excitement from all of these drivers. We have Alan Hines just cracking his knuckles, just trying to figure out if he's going to move on. Warren, absolutely a great addition to the Virtual Drift Masters, but it looks like Alan Hines gets the win and moves on.
Very good. It looks like we got a lot
there
of that.
Then. That was an incredibly tight battle. The difference maker there, if we have to pick just one little thing really quickly, is right at that last corner in the chase position. Obviously, Alan just perfectly angle matches and line matches the whole way through. On the reverse of that, unfortunately, Una has a tiny, tiny little angle bobble through 6 that just creates that tiny, tiny separation between the two chase runs. Both leads, though, are perfect.
Wow, excellent. Yeah, I mean, we knew right away when we looked at it, Tiny. That was going to be a close one.
Yeah, it's really, now it's this where I'm going to say I would hate to be a judge because it's very nitpicky. But here's Zach O'Sullivan saying, I'm the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, because he's in the lead for each of this whole series. And you got Adrian Roncero, he's going to be in the chase. Let's see who is going to be the cream of the crop. Zach O'Sullivan in the lead with that BMW. 890 Supra is Adrian Roncero. Zach O'Sullivan locking in the angle, trying to get to that back line, and he gets it all the way through. Transitioning to outer zone 2, hitting that inner clip. Beautiful fill out on each zone so far. Look at Adrian Roncero with that 890 Supra being as silky smooth. This is like a ballet in Rockefeller in New York City, because these guys are absolutely beautiful on this tandem.
On the driver cam, you could see O'Sullivan nodding his head to a rhythm before he took off, and you could see throughout the entire run, O'Sullivan took that rhythm throughout the whole rest of the run. He's just very on beat. It seems like he's got a cadence about him the entire run. And then we could see a little bit of a gap there that's kind of just a medium-sized gap kept there by the chase driver throughout the entire run. I'd say there's definitely some meat left on the bone there, but incredible lead run by O'Sullivan. And right now, Roncero is going to want to do what he can to extend the gap.
Man, it's yeah, Zach O'Sullivan is popping his head right now. I wonder what he's listening to. But here you go. You have in the chase, Zach O'Sullivan, Adrian Roncero. Adrian Roncero going into that first outer zone. Beautiful fella. Look at Zach O'Sullivan looking at that front tire, trying to get that proximity. And Adrian Roncero is going to this power alley and going all the way through. Now the decel zone. Big point here. Oh, contact with the wall from Adrian Roncero. But then goes through it. Oh, no. What happened there?
Let's take a look at that and see if we can get some fault on the table. So here we go. A nice initiation by both drivers. A little bit more of a gap than we thought we were going to have there. O'Sullivan doing a good job to reel it in right here. But ultimately what we want to look at is what happens as they dive into the wall here. So right now, both drivers not really touching. That looks to me like Super might have just gone into the wall on his own accord first. and O'Sullivan was just kind of right behind there. So they played a little bit of hanky-panky as they bounce off the wall. You can see him shimmy in over there on the top left corner. O'Sullivan dancing around, doing a little dancey dance. Yeah. What is he listening to?
I don't know.
It's gotta
But
be
Zach
ABBA.
O'Sullivan gets the win and moves on. Zach is too much, man. Too much. Now we're moving on to our next battle. Our last battle of our top 16. Brandon Patrick versus Alexander Element. We'll see if Zach is going to look at this next battle here. Brandon Patrick and Alexander Element, have competed against each other many a times. We'll see how they come out here to perform. And here's our first battle. Brandon Patrick in the lead. Coming in with a nice flick towards that first outer zone, hitting that left foot brake so he can stay there. Stabilize that car, transitioning to outer zone 2. Good job. Inner clip, beautiful. Outer zone 3, money. Now going into this power alley, into this decel zone. This is a huge angle. Ooh. Going into that outer zone, almost backies into that wall. Ooh, I don't even know how that chase kept up that way.
Narrowly avoiding disaster, but doing a great job of just getting back into it. It's just going to show us a large correction for the judges here. We've got really great proximity there in the chase position as you see them come across the setup zone here. This right here is where we start to see that backy almost get dropped in to the zone. He's able to recompose himself, and then kudos to the chase driver just being absolutely unfazed by it.
Man, that was crazy. Now we have Brandon Patrick in the chase here. Here we go. Alexander Element in the lead. Brandon Patrick in the chase, trying to get as close as possible to Alexander Element. Does a great job on that first outer zone. Gives him room to transition to outer zone 2. Good job as well there. Power alley is filling all the way out. Going into his decel zone. Oh no, Brandon Patrick is forward on the line, cheating the line to get that proximity. And it falls behind. It was a huge mistake from the chase.
Let's take a look at that aggression there. We can see door to door, side by side as it comes to that first corner. It's got to be one of the closest initiations we've seen there. BMW does a good job just reading, getting across that back bumper, and then reinitiating and getting right back on his door. Again, coming into this last zone with too much angle, though, and that turns into a big correction, leaving Element across the line almost by himself there. So right there, it seems like he's just done such a good job on all of this course, but consistently, the back portion of this track seems to be the area where Patrick is having some difficulties.
And it looks like Alexander Element gets the win and moves on. We're going to see them getting ready for the top 8 because that was the end of the top 16. And Zach O'Sullivan sent me a message. He said he's listening to Electric Cowboy. And here we go. We have our grade 8. Vitaly Azeev, Andreyev, Stella versus Austriaca, Swan, Hines, Sully versus Element. Wow.
A lot of familiar names that we see at this point. Often seeing Hines, Sullivan, Element.
Riga is such a great track for the sim because everybody runs it often, and it's just always back to back to back to back heaters of battles. And here you go. We got Vitaly Azeev in the lead. Andreyev in the chase. Andreyev is right there on the bottom right with the sim cam. Here comes Azeev in the lead, locking into the angle, getting all the way out, lighting off the tires as perfectly as possible. Look at Andreyev just tucking into the pocket and then holding onto that door, transitioning slow and smooth so he can keep the proximity all the way through, trying to mirror every inch of this track. Andreyev is an absolute bot, man. Wow.
That was incredible, like watching fighter jets in formation. They lock right into position right here as you see them come across the transition. Very minimal bobbing from this point out throughout the run. See them transition and make room. They just got to get off of each other enough to allow the rear of the lead driver to transition. And then from there, they can get right back on the glue and put themselves right on each other's doors, which he does right here.
All right. We're going to have Andreev in the lead now. Vitaly Azayev in the chase. Vitaly Azayev did a great job in the lead. Let's see if Azayev can hold it down in the chase. And here he comes in that first outer zone. Outer zone 2 is great. Andreev is doing a great job as he is getting dialed in, locked in, inch of this track. And he's going into that final outer wall. Beautiful fill out. My goodness. Mirrored angle everywhere. Holy smokes.
This may be another one of those runs that's just very difficult for the judges to have to come to a decision on. We see them come across every single zone. We see them mimicking each other's angle, line, and keeping very good proximity right here. This may be a little bit closer than what we saw in the previous run, but as they come across the wall here, one thing's for sure is that they both came across the wall on each other's doors all the way around the track. But at the moment, Andreev doing an incredible job in fresh memory in the judges' minds. We'll have to see what they say.
That last transition was so snappy from both drivers. It was some of these guys, I feel like they're AI.
Yep. And you can see there the setup behind the wheel too. Willwood brakes. You can tell it's Willwood brakes because the way it is.
Right for Andreev. And it's a one more time. Wow. Insane.
Big smile on his face there. You can tell he's ready to go again.
Oh yeah, he knew it was a good battle. It's great to see. This is our second one more time of this round. They're getting to this line. I do like how the start gate is staggered instead of a chicane. Here we go. The lights are green. Andreev is now in the chase. Azayev in the lead, coming in with a big old weight transfer, going to that first outer zone, and here comes Azayev all the way through outer zone 2. Andreev is trying to hold him in, a little bit shallow to an angle on that first two outer zones, but now mirroring him. Now the decel zone, a little bit of a rubbing of the bumpers, but then here comes Andreev, just tucking in right to the door of Vitaly Azayev.
Incredible to just jump right back into the action. Virtual Series gives us the blessing of being able to just teleport and run it again as you see them door to door. Now it's almost like their muscle memory is just getting better since they're getting the opportunity to do multiple consecutive runs. And we see it right here. Matched line, matched angle as they come into the wall. Once again, glued. I mean, at this point, these guys are going to have to run and just hope that one of them makes a mistake. But the longer they run, it seems less likely either of them will.
Man, oh man. These guys are they're so in sync and just locked in with this track. It's hard to tell. Andreev is now in the lead. Azayev in the chase. Let's see. This is a big battle here. George Foreman, like Muhammad Ali battle here going in. Two Titans just slaying it out on the track as you're seeing them going side to side, snapping the angle at the right times. Look at Andreev hitting that nice decel zone, then rubbing that back bumper on the wall. This is a battle here. Blow for blow. Left hook, right hook, uppercut. Each guy just taking that exposure there. Oh my God.
These guys are just full-on contact. I haven't seen this much aggression since the last time I observed the Thumb War competition. These guys are reeling each other in. A little bit of a gap right there as they dump into the wall right here. Once again, just glued to each other's doors. The judges definitely have their work cut out.
This is, I don't even know how to judge this. I'm so happy I enjoy the sport so much that I'm commentating it, because if I was a judge, I would want to see it again. Like, to be honest, I want to see it more times. This is absolutely awesome.
I'd like it if they just kept going to the death.
We had someone in the chat say I judge based on how much I like the car's livery. And left for Isaiah, right for Andreev.
That's tough too, because they're the same livery, just different colors.
Breathing heavy. And Daniel Andreev gets the win and moves on. Man, Chris, could you give us a quick thoughts on those two battles?
Absolutely, yeah. That one was incredibly tight. There are some small little differences there between the two, however. So the sort of the critical couple of points is that in the lead position, the transition from outer zone 5 to 6, Daniel handles that better and doesn't have any little checkup or angle correction that Vitaly has. And also in the chase, Daniel has almost perfect synchronization the entire way through the run, whereas Vitaly in the chase has a couple of moments where he just gets himself a little bit further up the inside of Daniel, isn't on the perfect chasing line, and also gets a little bit out of sync on a couple of transitions. Tiny margins, but just enough to give Daniel the win.
Great job, Chris. I appreciate that insight there. That's a finals battle. Like, and these guys are, all these battles here for the top 4 and the grade 8, it's all finals battles. It's insane. Here we go. Nico the Kid Stella versus Martinez Austriaca in the chase as Nico comes in, gets right to the angle, locked in them tires. Oh, beautiful. Huge angle going to that inner clip. Look at Martinez Austriaca getting right to angle with him, mirroring him. And then a little bit of a rubbing on that back bumper of Nico. But Nico is just getting more angle throughout that wall. Oh, mercy.
Here we go, Nico the Kid Stella throwing it in, looking to get another handshake of affirmation from his parental guardian, sitting there watching him, looking for him to win again as Austriaca is shadowing every single move. And they come through this outside zone, poise themselves up for this B-cell. And once again, a little bit of a gap there from Austriaca. He's not too late to the party, though. He reels him in right here. Great lead run by both drivers. These are going to continue to be runs that test the judges, because the second run, based on the skill of both these drivers, has the opportunity to create a repeat of that previous battle.
Here we go. Nico the Kid Stella in the chase now. Martinez coming in with a big scanty flick going into that first outer zone. Hitting that all the way through, filling all the way out. Nice massage of angle going into that inner clip and then going to outer zone 3. Transition is good. Nico the Kid Stella is just trying to hold in that proximity of Nico. Oh my goodness. Nico almost made contact on that transition, but going all the way through that final outer wall. Whoa!
Here we go. Nice aggressive flick, as we said here, on that outer zone. The kid reading it, though. Being right there. Excuse my voice crack. I promise I've already gone through puberty. As they see him cross that outside zone, they do a great job transitioning. And, yeah, these might be going run for run here. The judges are going to have to pull apart both. There's some areas where each of them fell back a little bit, but very comparable run by run. So I'm interested to see if the judges are able to pull a winner from this one, or if we're going one more time.
Man, this is for, these guys are getting me in awe because of how they're driving. And now we have the judge's decision. Nico to the left, Martinez to the right. Looks like Nico the Kinstella gets the win and moves on. Bears giving a little pats. Martinez, love you, dude. Killer. And it looks like Martinez did cut the inner clip, and that was the big mistake he did. And Nico
a little
had
bit of
a better
a
last
decision.
decision. Yeah. It's I'm so happy I'm not a judge and I'm just a fan and do this. Alan Hines is now in the lead. Braden Swan in the chase. Braden Swan's in that 370Z. Here we go. Coming in with a big flick. Going to that first outer zone. Alan Hines is not leaving anything behind. He is not messing around. Going to outer zone 2 and hitting that inner clip. Beautiful fill out. Going to outer zone 3. Transitioning. Braden Swan just matching angle. Mirroring the line. Oh, it looks like he had to back off and then cut the line a little bit on that final outer zone. But look at Alan Hines. Locked in. Like an absolute Terminator.
Here we go, Hines. Once again, the theme for him has just been that he's able to copy and paste his runs, run after run after run, as if he's robotic, just going from one corner to another, putting the car exactly where it needs to be. The 370Z doing a great job, knowing that he can have some confidence behind him. When you know you're behind a lead driver who's going to put the car exactly where it needs to be, then you don't need to hesitate. You can run 100% on his door. He does a good job. It looks like there was a little bit of proximity once again that could have been made there. But now it's up to Hines to see if he can put this to bed, or there's a chance he may make a mistake, because anything can happen in drifting.
And here we go. Alan Hines into the chase. Braden Swan in the lead. Second half of this battle. Heat 3 of 4. Here we go. Braden Swan, a little bit mid to deep line on that first half of that outer zone 1. Hitting that mid line on outer zone 2 from what I can see. And look at Alan Hines. Just matching angle. You're angling up so he can slow down and keep the proximity. And then getting back to the door of Braden Swan. Doors, baby.
Hines might have done a little bit better job here on the pace, being able to stay close to the door. We see a little bit of a brake check up here. This is where he gets to recompose himself. From here on out, he does a great job just keeping the car stable, pivoting it, and doing a great job at using his angle as his brakes. You can see him decel the car a lot more smooth because he's working with the angle that he's getting to kind of dial himself in position where he wants to be. A great demonstration of car control from Adam Hines.
And I do see that Dono, 100 euros. Give to the winner. Please, good luck, dudes. Drive hard, and please give to winner. Appreciate that, Dono. And it looks like Alan Hines gets the win and moves on. Wow. This, I don't even know. I don't.
$100 donation.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't even see that. What do I we haven't even planned for that. What do we do? Do I take my shirt off? You can't see me anyways. Can I just say I did that? All right.
We ain't doing that.
I just want to make the fans happy. Whatever makes that happen more. Let's go.
They said to give it to the winner of this round. It is
that can make me excited. I don't need the money.
Here we go. We got Zach O'Sullivan and Alexander Element. Zach O'Sullivan was listening to Electric Cowboy on the previous battle. Alexander Element into chase. Zach O'Sullivan coming in with a big flick. It's been similar every time he goes in the lead. But look at Alexander Element, knowing how Zach drives, being able to predict him, try to get into that proximity, into that door, transitions early in the chase, but then able to reel him in and get to the door of Zach O'Sullivan. But that lead, I can't speak about that lead because that lead was insane.
O'Sullivan drives with so much rhythm. We are so lucky that Guitar Hero isn't a popular game anymore, because he'd be playing that instead of Assetto Corsa, and instead he is here blessing us with this cadence around the track. But Alexander Element is not one to be played with. He's not scared by it. He's only empowered by it, because the more confident your driving is, the more aggressive he can be behind you. And Alexander Element using every bit of that advantage.
Zach O'Sullivan probably has a lucky egg, because of the rhythm he has throughout this whole track is absolutely maniacal. But here we go. Alexander Element in the lead, coming in with a nice initiation, getting to that first outer zone. And look at Zach O'Sullivan, a little bit shallow on the line, but able to reel him in. It looks like Zach has a shallow angle so he can keep proximity and going into his power alley. Alexander Element does a great job. Oh my goodness, coming in hot to that last wall. Zach O'Sullivan gets that proximity.
This is one of those runs that's just so fun to watch, because it is a match of titans. You can see O'Sullivan dropping in a little bit below the line there just to make sure he can keep control of the situation. He drops back a little further than he should have for that transition. He didn't need to give Element as much room, but you can see he is just locked in right here. But so is Element getting onto that wall. Full throttle, O'Sullivan looking to get really close, but Element was definitely returning the serve here on this lead run opportunity. So now it's time to kick to the judges, see if they're able to come to a decision. But personally, I wouldn't mind watching these guys go again, just because Element and O'Sullivan are two regulars when we get up to the top 8 and beyond.
Oh, man. Left for O'Sullivan, right for Element. Oh, man. And it looks like Alexander Element gets the win and moves on. Zach O'Sullivan gets knocked off. Wow. Great battles from Zach. That was insane. That's it. That's huge, especially with the point standing.
Yeah, that's definitely going to shake things up, but well deserved. And we won't waste any more time, because someone just popped on the screen, so we have some feedback. Rose, how are you doing?
Good, guys. Oh my God, that was very exciting. And I'm actually a little bit shocked that Zach has actually exited now. So, I mean, great news for Alan. Is there potential there for him to overtake Zach in the championship? Let's see.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And absolutely killer battles here. Rose, what was the one highlight you saw from these recent battles from top 16?
You know, I'm a big fan of Nico, right? And I think he's been struggling with mindset a little bit this season as well, right? So I'm really, really happy to see that he's progressing into the top 4. I think it's going to be great for his confidence. And I am rooting for him all the way, even though I shouldn't. I'm going to be biased, and I'm going to say I want Nico to win today.
Okay. I appreciate that. Well, here is our Drift Masters Strom Wheels bracket. Top 4. Andreev, Stella, Hines, Element. Don't want to do the commentator's curse. I'm not going to say who I think is going to win. I'm just going to be rooting in the back of my mind. I want you guys in the chat to think who's going to win. Andreev, Hines, Stella, or Element. The winner moves on to battle of first and second place. Loser still has a chance for podium. What are you thinking, Alec?
I'm surprised that Rose isn't supporting Adam Hines into this competition. I figured fellow Irish would stick together there. He's definitely a fan favorite, that's for sure. And honestly, the other point you made about the point standings, I mean, we are only a couple rounds away from being at the finals, so this is definitely at that crossroads where there's still a little bit of opportunity to shake things up and move the points around, but not much. So now more than ever, every single battle counts.
All right. Here we go. Our final 4. Nico, the Kid Stella, versus Daniel Andreev. Nico is going to be in the lead. Andreev is going to be in the chase. Winner moves on to the battle of first and second place. Sim cams on. Here's our start for our final battles. Nico Stella comes in with a nice aggressive flick going to that first outer zone. Here comes Andreev trying to hold in the proximity to Nico the Kid Stella as Nico the Kid Stella hits that inner clip. Beautiful fill out. A little bit midline on outer zone 3, but again, that power alley as Buttery Slew locks into the angle. A little bit of a bobble going to that final outer wall. Look at Andreev holding the angle, mirroring them all the way through the track.
This right here is where we pick the difference between boys and men as they come through the competition here. We want to see them get all the way out to the every single outside zone, have tons of speed, have tons of angle, and for the chase driver to always be close on proximity. And this right here sets the tone for what a top 4 battle should be. We see all those elements start to step into the picture right here as they come across the line. Nico the Kid Stella looking to continue to differentiate himself and enter his name into the Drift Masters history books.
We have the second half of this battle. Nico is in the chase. Andreev in the lead. BMW versus 400Z. Coming in. Wow. Nice fill out. A little mid-lines deep. All the way into outer zone 2. Look at Nico surging into the pocket and getting forward in there. And going into this power alley. Diving out of the smoke. Going to that final 2 outer zones. Going all the way around. Beautiful fill out. Nico the Kid Stella just massaging the angle and speed so he can get that proximity too.
This right here, once again, a battle of Goliaths as they come across this first corner. A little bit of proximity being lost there by Nico on the draw as they come through the transition here. Another big brake check. Nico really needs to clean it up, and he does a good job right here using his angle to kind of slow him down in the decel. He wants to be able to dive in. He cuts the line a little bit to set himself up, and then from here he wants to be on there like glue. Still a very good chase run nonetheless. I think both chase runs had a little bit of distance together, so there's definitely something to be judged on both lead runs, both chase runs. And yeah, from here on out, those judges are going to have to put in that effort to get their pay, guys. I would not want to be a judge. I love being the person that just gets to sit here, talk to you all, and share memes.
And share memes. Left for Nico, right for Andreev. And Andreev gets the win. But that doesn't stop here, Nico. You have a chance to get on the podium still. It looks like the judges have sent a message to me about the decision, which it was because of the mistake before the last corner from Nico and a bad transition on the lead. So it's all right. You can clean it up a little bit. We'll get him back here shortly, but we have to figure out who is he battling. Alan Hines, Alexander Element. Alan Hines is reversing back to pits.
Throw it in reverse.
Here we are at Riga. Here we are at Riga. We have been so fortunate to see this kind of battles here on the sim. Alan Hines is in the lead. Alexander Element in the chase. Winner moves on to the first and second place battle. Here comes Alan Hines coming into that first out of zone. Look at Alexander Element just trying to mirror him. A little bit of a bobble in the chase. Transitioning almost too early. And Alan Hines is going to that power alley. Beautiful angle. Just locked in. And getting that back bumper to the wall. Rubbing it all the way through. Look at Alexander Element trying to push him across the line.
These are the battles where now every single driver that is left is familiar with the rest of the drivers on the bracket and know they're going to have to put in the effort if they want to walk away with the win. Earlier on in the bracket, some of these guys could go into their battles confident, but this run right here is a demonstration of the fact that they are well aware of what each of them are capable of, and they have to hit every single mark on the track. And for both of these drivers, they do just that on that first run. So there's a lot more pressure on this second one to stand out to the judges.
And here we go. We have the second half of this battle. See if Alan Hines snap into a Slim Jim and breach open that door of Element. Oh man, super aggressive initiation. Alexander Element gets to that first outer zone. Alan Hines is trying to get him back in. Get right to the door of Element. Transitioning into this power alley. A little bit of a slower transition from Alan Hines, but then getting back right close to the close proximity of Alexander Element. And oh, this is going to be a very, very tough call.
Here we see a big brake drag coming up there from Element. Alan Hines staying a little bit too wide as you see him dive back in here. One of the things that he's very good at doing is if he has a lot of extra speed on a dive, he'll wash out a little bit wide and kill that speed with angles we talked about in that previous run. So he does that again as they come into the setup and then out of the horseshoe onto Element's door. A little bit of a mistake right there, I think I saw from Alan Hines. Not sure if the judges are going to weigh that heavily or if there's other ones that they saw, but that initiation looked like there was a little bit of a distance. And right here, it's difficult because you have to be, to some level, a little bit nitpicky because these drivers are not making big mistakes anymore. So there's nothing that you can really use as a cop-out as a reason that one driver should directly win because of a singular mistake. The judges are really going to have to piece together what small infractions mark against these driver and ultimately just who has the culmination of smaller strikes against their name. So looks like the judges have an answer. Right for Element, left for Hines. Who is it gonna be?
You see the gestures, the drift gestures from Alan Hines. Oh man, I would hate to be in this position. Right for Element, left for Hines. And it looks like Element gets the win. Great battle there. Now Nico the Kid Stella is going to be battling Alan Hines.
Very big input there from the chat. Blade says, I love beans. Hey, there's an idea. What if every time someone did a donation, I ate the number of beans of that person's donation? Huh? Well, go ahead and put in the chat what you think we should do as announcers. Everything we should do when someone gives a donation, I am all but open to. And Tiny, aren't you also? Yes, he is. So
no, I'm not, brother. Don't you put me in that. Here we go. We have our final four. Andrew Jevin Element is in the battle for first and second place. Stella and Hines is the battle for third place. Don't you put me in there.
Put that evil on me, Ricky.
Yeah, don't do that. Here we go. Battle for third place. Nico the Kid Stella. Alan Hines. The sim cams are locked in. Drivers are locked in. And the lights are off. Nico Stella with that 400Z. Coming in with a snappy initiation for that first outer zone, getting locked in. Look at Alan Hines, just really focused on the door, getting that proximity of Nico the Kid Stella as he is going through his power alley, transitioning, buttery smooth, going to the final two outer zones. Look at Alan Hines trying to reel him in, and Nico the Kid Stella rubbing that back bumper on that wall, getting super aggressive, lighting off those tires, but we're getting doors in the battle for third place.
Make no mistake, even though this is the battle for third place, ultimately it's going to define who the first loser is going to be, because whoever loses this battle does not get to stand on the podium with their fellow competitor. And here you can see both drivers want that one last glimpse, that one last chance to look down at a sea of their competitors from above the height of a third place podium and be able to taste and hold the feeling of a medal trophy.
Well said. Here we go. They're locked in again. Second lap of this battle. Nico Stella is in the chase. Alan Hines in the lead. Here we go. Alan Hines coming in with a nice initiation. Weight transfer. Getting a mid-line on outer zone 1. Here comes Nico Stella trying to hold in the proximity in that inner clip. Alan Hines does a great job going to the final two outer zones. Let's see if he lights off those tires early like he's been doing, and he does. And rubbing that back bumper on the wall. Look at Nico the Kid Stella just getting right to the door of Alan Hines.
We've got the current driver with a massive reputation along with the up-and-coming skill being defined right here. Look at both these drivers settle into the pocket and settle into the line as they come across this outside zone. Nico the Kid Stella falling a little bit behind, but uses that opportunity to transition right on the bumper, and then they're right back onto each other's doors as they come into this last outside zone. The judges are going to have to make a difficult decision here. We're looking at chat, too, to see always what you guys are looking for in a winner. Let us know if we got fans in there for Hines and fans in there for Stella. They are regulars up here at the top of the bracket.
These guys are just robots. That's what I feel like. I feel like I want to call them, they're just straight robots because how they drive. You see all these cars. These cars are custom. You get them custom made, and you won't see them in the VDM lobbies, the public lobbies, but you see them repping it at the VDM stream. Nico Stella to the left, Alan Hines to the right. The winner gets third place. And it looks like Nico the Kid Stella gets the win! I'm pumped for him.
Let's go. Nico the Kid Stella heading back, getting ready to stand on that podium. He is a kid. He is a little guy, so that podium is bigger than it looks for him. Excited to see how he's going to get up there and wave to everybody, let them know. You can see how happy he is right there in the camera.
Man. Oh. Nico the Kid Stella getting third place. Now we have our final battle of this round. Daniel Andrejev, Alexander Element. Who is going to get first? Let's hear you guys in chat. Andrejev or Element? Here we go. We got them lined up. Alexander Element is going to be in the chase. Andreev is going to be in the lead. We're waiting for the lights. The battle for first and second place is here. Waiting for the judges. There we go. Here we go. Andreev is in that blue BMW, coming in with a nice initiation. Gets to that first outer zone, and here comes Alexander Element, just smelling in the smoke, reeling him in, getting that magnet, putting it to that door through his power alley. Now here comes this D-cell zone. Alexander Element has to be careful, going to his wall. Now he's reeling him in. Oh, this is a big old fish. He needs to reel him back in and get all the way through that line. My oh my, Alexander Element is becoming the fifth element.
This is for all the marbles as they come across this section here. We can see both of them being very aggressive. This is the last battle for them. They're either going to get first place or they're going to get second place, but both of them want to be crowned champion and move their way up in the points, and you can see neither of them holding back throughout that entire run.
Here we go. We got the second half of this battle. And the lights are green. The winner gets top dog podium at Riga. Look at Andreev getting in the chase. Element is getting in a nice, beautiful line. A little bit mid-line, going through that inner clip, but able to hit each zone as efficiently as possible. Going to his D-cell zone and then lighting off those tires. Look at Andreev getting that nice close proximity that he needs. Wow.
Both of them are ripping. Is it going to give us our 2 runs? Is that going to be enough for the judges to decide a winner? Right here, we see them come super fast through the zone. A little bit of a tap right there as they come towards the outside zone. Coming into this transition here, waiting for the snap to dive back in again. Doing a great job railing them back in at the wall. And then across the line with a little area there with a couple different opportunities to kind of tap the lead driver and let him know that he's chasing closely behind. Excited to see what the judges are going to make of this. Do we have a winner?
Let's see in chat, are we watching the Bass Pro fishing competition? No, we're watching the deadliest catch because these guys are deadly on the track. We're going to go left for Element, right for Andreev. And it looks like Daniel Andreev gets the win and gets top podium P1 at Riga. Element gets second place. Nico the Kinsella gets third. Wow. And now we're going to be having an interview here shortly. We're going to, with sim driving, you always get the donuts. You probably get a 3-man tandem as well. Wow. It's been crazy, Alec.
An absolutely tremendous event. This is, like I said in the very beginning, one of my favorite tracks, and this series is starting to create some of my now favorite drivers. So if you have never watched this before, start tuning in, because the amount of talent that you're starting to see come out of the sim racing community is starting to become, bar none, one of the best talents that you can see when you're just looking to see good tandems. It may not be in person, but the amount of skill it takes is now proven to be the same. And these drivers are becoming regulars. They're becoming fans. A lot of them are driving not just in the sim, but in real life, or they're driving in the sim now and looking to drive in real life. And based on their performance in this alone, you can tell that no matter what they do from here, the amount of talent they're culminating within this series is going to get them wherever they want, as long as it has to do with driving, as long as there's a steering wheel and pedals. And so, I mean, Tiny, what are some of your thoughts?
I always get excited seeing these guys drive on the sim, and then even doing it in real world, you get to meet the sim drivers at events. So that's one of my favorite things to do. But then I've seen people go from sim to real world driving. You have Ryan Literal, you have Nick Novak, and those drivers there are actually like pretty top notch competitors. So people that discredit sims, it could be a tool, but don't discredit the sim drivers. They're out there shredding, even in real life. So I'm super excited for Nico getting P3. Andreev, he's always been a top dog here at VDM. But one thing we are gonna have is an interview with Rose, with the 2 drivers, right after this. And I'm just pumped for these guys. I'm always happy to commentate for them and get them hyped up for their own runs.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to see those interviews. It's now a newer segment on the series where we get to have Rose go ahead and talk to some of the drivers. And this is a great opportunity for building familiarity with the drivers in real life. They started doing this for the Formula Drift events years ago. With Masters as well. So we'll go ahead and get her started. The first interview is ready to go. So let's kick it over to Rose and see what these guys' thoughts are after today's competition.
I'm joined by our 1st and 4th place finishers, Daniel and Alan Hines. First of all, Daniel, congratulations on 1st place. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling really good. Previous year I was 1st place here also. Yes. So for me that's a very big thing, achievement. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. And Daniel, we spoke after round 4 and you said you were hungry for the championship, right? And you have come here today and you have done what you have said you were going to do. You wanted to win. So what is the strategy going forward for the rest of the season?
for this season, same runs, very aggressive, will risk runs, and that's it, I guess. Because if no risk, no good to runs.
Exactly. No risk, no reward. And Daniel, thank you very much for joining us again.
Yeah. Thank you.
And
Thank you guys who
congratulations.
supported me. Really appreciate that. Thanks.
Brilliant. Okay. Alan Hines, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Rose. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Alan, so look, 4th place, which is brilliant. Okay. And we saw Zach go out a little bit earlier, which is good for you. So how are you feeling now about the overall championship?
Yeah, look, obviously you go into every single event wanting to win it. Look, I was in damage mitigation for this event today. This relying on the chase run with wanted to get a solid result. A podium would have been a bit sweeter. That's the thing. Look, there was a couple of mistakes made there with Element and even with Nico there. I felt like I could have done a bit better, but once I gotten past that hurdle of getting into the top 4, I was like, right, okay, we've gotten where we need to be. We've got solid points. Next 2 rounds suit my car a bit better. Ferropolis and in Poland, so Pig A. So smoother tracks, no bumps, and hopefully we can carry the momentum into that. But yeah, fair play to Daniel. We always look at the brackets of top 32, see who's got the harder job. And I think Daniel's had the hardest job today, getting through, Inerstas and Darius and all the other guys in that corner of the bracket. So fair play to him getting the win as well at some driving. So awesome day out.
Brilliant. Okay. And then Alan, who would you say was your toughest opponent today?
Yeah, no, we had some pretty interesting battles. Yuna is great to drive with Yuna all the time. Great driver. I did find my top 8 battle with Braden Swan quite difficult. We didn't actually get any data on him on his lead run, especially with people hitting him on initiation. And I made sure to give him a lot of space initiation. I didn't think his initiation was the nicest to chase, to be quite honest with you. So give him plenty of space. I actually thought I gave too much space and I thought I had lost it. And I was like frustrated. I was like, geez, what do I do? But quite lucky there, I feel like. But yeah, it would have been nice to go a bit further, obviously. But look, we'll take the result that we got today and we'll move on into the next 2 events coming up soon. So.
Exactly. And it's not over yet, Alan. Well, thank you very much for joining us. And that's it from us, guys, from round 5. And we'll see you all the next round. Bye.
Man, some
Gotta love
some
an
great
interview with
things.
Alan Hines.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, Alan Hines definitely has good vibes. He's very has a good head on his shoulders, especially with the drifting worlds. I would say he's a good example of how the drifting community is in competition side in real world.
And now we have a little bit more points shaping up, guys. We're going to go ahead and look at what our rounds is. That was round 5. Only 2 more rounds left to go, and we have a little bit more points shaping up. We'll be able to get that up in just a moment to be able to show you what the current point standing is. But now's the time if you're a driver and you're looking to work your way up. Most of these drivers are keeping track of the points as they're going into each round and have already done the math of how they have to position every single round to be where they want to be. And for those who are already down and out, they've really got nothing to lose besides to go ahead and go for broke, be the reason that the guys who are going to be in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place really have to work for it and put in some more sweat equity into just experience in the tournament type of an environment. So that way they can come back next season and be that fierce competitor that can stand on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place. But for any of those people that are out of the points running already, this is the time to really let everybody know that you will be someone to watch and not make it easy for the guys who are starting to feel comfortable about their points lead.
Yeah, and so there's no going to be a point standing. It's going to be populated on the social medias on Virtual Drift Masters. They're getting all the data in there. But the next round is Ferropolis, one of my favorite tracks to see compete in Germany. That's going to be on the weekend of August 2nd and 3rd for the virtual series. We usually do the virtual series 2 weeks prior to the real events to try to give that momentum and get that excitement for the events. But let's get a quick thought on Ferropolis before we end up ending the stream here.
Yeah, I think every single round that we go into, there's going to be its own technicalities with every single track. And I think what we're really starting to understand is that these drivers have the same level of comprehension of these tracks, if not more, than when people go to some of these tracks in real life. The real life Drift Masters series, when they go out to each event, it is sometimes the only practice that those drivers are going to get is whatever they're allotted for that individual event. So we got to see Riga, and even with Riga being one where it's, you know, one of the most popular maps in series, we saw a lot of confidence, a lot of really great runs, but we also still saw that even with as familiar as you can get with these tracks, there's still some level of gambling involved. We saw some almost lethal incidents happen on track. Luckily, everyone's okay. And, you know, hopefully for less of that next round, but it's drifting, anything can happen.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure for all you guys in the chat. The dono was awesome. And the interaction, that's one great thing about the sim world, that we can interact with chat. I want to let you guys know it was an absolute pleasure being your casters here for Virtual Drift Masters. We're going to catch you guys in August for Ferropolis here at VDM. Virtual Drift Masters is back in 2025 and it's coming in hot. This season, 10 Drift Masters pros step into the sim to battle 40 of the last season's best virtual drivers in a showdown like no other. With 7 rounds of high-stakes action and top 32 broadcasts every Sunday, the stage is set for something legendary. And calling all the action, you may ask? It's me, Tiny, bringing the hype, the energy, and every tire-shredding moment. This is Virtual Drift Masters 2025. Let's go. Virtual Drift